Welcome to AfterMat, your source for WWE pay-per-view recaps. I am your host, the People's Champ Cal, and alongside me as always, I have my tag team partner, the Glamazon Delisha. What's going on, Delisha?
Hey guys, it is the culmination of 15,000 hours of wrestling this week, and we're going to talk about Wrestlemania today.
Yes, and we also do have a special guest today. We have a longtime supporter of this channel and show, the Moon Knight himself, Skye Inc. Welcome, Skye.
Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well.
Yes, we are after, how can we not, after WrestleMania weekend, or maybe we are, depending on how we felt about the show. We'll get to that in a little bit. We got a lot of people in here. Let me say, everyone we got in here. We have Bobby, hey Slater, man. We have Andy. We have Megan, and we have Rain. Welcome, everybody. How are you all doing? All right. I did talk to Alicia before us going talking about setting up the WrestleMania show, and we do have some bad news to give. Unfortunately, one of our friends and another long-time supporter of this channel has passed away at the beginning of this month. You guys probably know him as Cusco. He unfortunately passed away on April 1st, and it kind of hit us pretty hard, and it was very unexpected. And we want to make sure we dedicate this show to him because it not only is the biggest stage of all, he was one of the biggest supporters of them all for us. So it's only right if we dedicate to him because he meant so much to us. So if you want to find any more information, we're going to also have a charity stream on Thursday, April 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on the Game Fixers. If you guys remember the Game Fixers who did Gamer Grudge and all that kind of stuff, make sure you check them out. On Thursday, April 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Also, Megan is going to be dropping a link throughout the show tonight. That's a PayPal link that she's taking donations for, so that we can send a nice bouquet of flowers from the community to his family and put by his gravestone, I believe. So she's gonna have more details. If you have any questions about that, please ask her in the chat throughout the show. But she will be putting the link throughout the show, and hopefully she'll let me know who donates so we can give you guys some acknowledgement. I know you guys don't do it for the acknowledgement. I know you guys do it for the love, and we really appreciate you guys' support. And Cusco will be really missed. He was very kind and good-hearted and just a gentle soul. And through everything he went through and all the pain he's gone through, he was still always putting smiles on people's faces and coming out with the best attitude and all that. So he's definitely going to be missed. It's hard to see us lose people in the community, but yeah. So I don't know. It hurts, but I really know now he's not going to be feeling any more pain, and that's the only solace we can get from that. So yeah, thank you, and once again, Megan will be dropping her PayPal link throughout the channel, throughout the show. If you guys want to donate to that, please feel free. We're gonna get together and donate and put a flower bouquet together for his family and for him. And don't forget to check out the charity stream once again on Thursday, April 15th. We'll be doing the same thing, taking donations, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on the Game Fixers YouTube. All right, so thank you guys so much for that time, and like I said, it really means a lot to us, and I thank you guys, everyone, for your support as well. Well, you guys are always a big part of our lives, and just know it matters to us. You guys matter to us. Yeah, but with that said, I guess we gotta get back to WrestleMania. We'll start out with Skye first, without giving your overall grade and all that. How'd you feel about the show? Did you enjoy it?
It had its ups and downs. I'll say that it was better than I thought it was going to be, but at the same time, there was some things that I thought could have been done better. Overall, I would say that I sort of enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Delisha?
Much like with Skye, there was a lot to like of the event as a whole. I know we'll break it down between night 1 and night 2. There was also some things that we didn't like. I think I said it to you guys, on paper, minus one match, these had the potential to be really great matches, and unfortunately some of them did not execute in the way that they could have done. But overall, for the most part, it didn't suck, so it's great.
Yeah.
We don't want to WrestleMania to suck.
For me, welcome Titus as well. Sorry, welcome Sidewalk, Close, and Titus. Not Titus O'Neil, but Titus.
I was going to say Titus.
If Titus O'Neil is here, Hulk Hogan would come out. I guess Titus would be Titus and Sidewalk could be Hulk Hogan. They can be that duo because they arrived pretty much together too, so that's kind of funny. For me, it was maybe one of the worst WrestleManias I've ever seen. On paper, like Delisha said, amazing card, amazing talent. There was a lot of great action. I have to say, actually, I'll probably say this: it was probably the best wrestled WrestleMania I've ever seen, right? But we don't come for wrestling. We don't go to WrestleMania for wrestling. We go for sports entertainment. And it was not entertaining at all in the way that I wanted it to be. So in my opinion, it was one of the worst WrestleManias ever. I was very frustrated with it. Especially because like a lot of people who I wanted to see win didn't win, and just really frustrating. I don't know if Vince McMahon is going senile, what's going on, but the way he booked some of those endings, oh my god. Well, we'll get to that. So I guess without further ado, let's get started with the first match of the evening, because we don't have pre-shows anymore because of the rain or whatever it was. But now we just have a full pack card, and it opens off with the world. Sorry, what is it? Not the universe. No, it's the world title, right? The WWE Championship with the champion Bobby Lashley defending against Drew McIntyre, and I feel this is Skye's match. And Skye starting off right away, put into the hot seat.
All right, so the beginning of the match was standard. They both locked up, trying to show who was stronger, but that ended in a stalemate. Lashley hit Drew with a shoulder tackle, but Drew gets back up immediately, showing it wasn't going to be easy to take him down. Drew hits Lashley with a back body drop, and Lashley gets back up immediately as well. Then Drew proceeds to taunt him, which of course gets Lashley fired up. Lashley pushes Drew in the face in a show of disrespect, and the two start brawling in the ring. The fight eventually lands them outside of the ring, where Lashley begins dominating Drew, throwing him against the ringside barricade 3 times. Lashley gets back in the ring to break the count, then gets back out to get Drew back into the ring. Drew goes to the corner, and Lashley hits him with a shoulder tackle, followed by a net breaker, landing the first cover of the match, in which Drew kicks out and won. Lashley continues to dominate in the ring, beating him up against the ropes. Drew desperately tries to fight back while on his knees, but Lashley keeps pounding away. They trade chops across the chest back and forth until Drew goes to the corner, and again he tries to go for another shoulder tackle, but this time Drew sidesteps out of the way. Lashley falls to the ground, and Drew tries to lock in an arm bar, but Bobby proves to be too strong, powers his way out of it. Lashley continues his dominance over Drew while also taunting the crowd. Drew finally gets his second win, slamming Lashley 3 times. Both men lay in the middle of the ring, winded, and Drew hits a kip up to a good crowd reaction. Drew hit Lashley with a Northern Lights pin, and Lashley kicks out at I think it was 2. After some encouragement from MVP at ringside, Lashley slams Drew again and goes for a cover, but Drew kicks out after 2. After another slam from Lashley and a failed cover attempt, Lashley tries putting Drew in a hurt lock, but Drew Again, gets out of it. The two men go back and forth a bit before Drew puts Lashley in the corner on the top turnbuckle. Lashley fights only for Drew to try to put the Kimura on him, trying to wear down his arms. I'm assuming he was trying to prevent him from putting the hurt lock on him by damaging his arms. Lashley fights back. Again, Drew this time was hanging upside down from the top turnbuckle. Looked like he was helpless, only for him to sit up and quickly throw Bobby from the top rope. Once Drew was up in position, he tries to go for the Claymore, only for Lashley to counter with a spine buster. But Drew gets up, does a kip up again, and looks at Lashley, and I loved it because he looked at him and he said, "Bring it, bitch," and I thought that was amazing. The two men brawl, and Drew hits Lashley with three Future Shock DDTs. He goes for the cover, but Bobby Lashley kicks out in two. Drew gets up. Drew gets ready to set up the Claymore again, but MVP helps pull Lashley out at the last second. Drew, of course, wasn't about to be beaten, so he runs and jumps over the top rope, knocking down both MVP and Lashley. Lashley eventually gets back in the ring, gaining momentum again and attempting to hurt lock twice, only for Drew to get out of both of them. Going for another spine buster, Drew counters this and in turn tries to turn it into a Kimura submission hold. Lashley struggles, but finally is able to break the hold and making it to the rope. The two men brawl again, and Drew once again tries setting Lashley up for the Claymore. MVP distracts him somehow, and Drew misses the Claymore. And of course, Lashley takes advantage of this by putting him in the hurt lock. Drew tried to break the hurt lock, but he couldn't. Even made it all the way to the corner rope. But Lashley had it locked in, and he wasn't letting go. Eventually, Drew passes out. Lashley wins and retains his title.
Yeah, so it was... I mean, well, first of all, let me say that was probably the best recap we've ever had. Much better than Deletion I do. We don't go into that much in depth, so that was very well done. This match was actually a very entertaining match, like as we would expect from two bulls, right? Like two studs of the ring. And both of them are due, right, for their WrestleMania moment. I mean, we know Drew had one last year because he won, but there's no audience, right, for him to celebrate his championship win. But Bobby Lashley, though he did have one with our former president back in the day, and Vince McMahon and Umaga, it wasn't really a WrestleMania moment, even though that was like star power. So I guess he was due up for one too. I don't have anything against Bobby Lashley. I like Bobby Lashley as long as he's not wearing a headband. I like MVP. I love Drew. But like Skye said, the way this match ended was god-awful. Not that Bobby Lashley won, but the way he won. If you're running and you're focused on one of the biggest nights of your life, you're not going to turn I could see you could turn if something happens out of the corner of your eye, like if MVP jumps up on the apron. That could make you turn. But the fact that the MVP yelled Bobby, he didn't even yell Drew. He yelled Bobby. Like, that's anything a normal manager would do. Like, you hear Paul Heyman all the time, like, going, Brock! Like, you don't see, like the other wrestlers stop them, like, the match to look at Paul Heyman, really. So, the fact that Drew stopped to look when MVP just yelled Bobby, that really pissed me off. And the fact that Drew lost by being kind of choked out or pretty much, like, put to sleep, that was better. But, the way that ending happened, I was not happy about. What are your thoughts, Alicia? Oh, wait, sorry. Before we do that, yeah. Megan has put the link, guys, for Cusco's charity, to donate for flowers for his family. So please check out Megan's PayPal if you would like to donate to a good cause. And sorry about that, Alicia.
No worries. I do think this was a really good kickoff to WrestleMania, especially after the almost hour ring delay that we had. The weather was the real heel of this match, but it was hard hitting. It's pretty much what I expected out of these two at this caliber of a stage for WrestleMania. For them both to get their moments. It was our first match back. Our first match back for WrestleMania with a actual crowd in the audience. So, it really had to deliver to start to get people's hype levels up for the rest of the show. Again, like I said, especially after that rain delay, where spirits might be a little low because they had to wait or sit out in the rain. So I'm really glad that it really, for the most part, like we said, 95% of this match was really great. And MVP just yelling, Bobby, and that is a distraction to Drew. when MVP has gotten actually involved in previous matches before, whether it be like coming up to the ring or messing with the ref. So I don't know why they couldn't do anything like that when it's pretty much status quo for the Hurt Business anyway. I don't know, or maybe something went wrong and there was a miscommunication somewhere. I don't know, but I'm glad that Bobby won because I was afraid that they were going to take it off Bobby just so Drew could have his crowd reaction championship win. But I'm glad it didn't go that way because I really just would have discredited Lashley's, dominance that he's had for the last couple of weeks. So I'm glad we have that wonky finish aside. I still enjoyed the match overall.
Yeah, it was a great match. Don't get me wrong, but that was the first finish that was messed up in my opinion, not well done. But yeah, also it's nice that you mentioned that they had the crowd back, right? First time they had the crowd back, and they really felt it. Like, you really saw that at the beginning of the show, the smiles on some of those superstars' faces who were supposed to be heels, So that was kind of nice to see that they really took in the moment and stuff. And we'll talk about taking in the moment a little bit later. I'm sure Alicia will get into that at the end of the night one.
I was gonna say, like, every single wrestler, like, as they were coming down around, you could see the heels were trying to like not smile. But you can tell that really affected them. And it really showed that having a crowd really is like everyone's tag team partner when in a match when it comes to a live crowd versus the Thunderdome.
Right. Which I still do give kudos to the Thunderdome. It was a great idea, a good concept. I hope they continue to go through with it until it's like completely safe. What?
As Michael Cole likes to remind us, it's award winning.
It's a what?
I forgot you fast forward through shows.
Yeah.
Every time they always say that it's the award-winning Thunderdome when the show started. So I was like, it's award-winning, Cal. It's acknowledged.
Thank you, Skye, for donating to
the Thunderdome. They are continuing to do that for Raw and SmackDown and NXT for the time being.
Thank you, Skye, for donating towards Cusco's flowers. Appreciate that.
I didn't donate.
That's what Megan just said in the chat.
Wrong Skye.
Oh, side. See, I said the same thing. Sorry. Thank you, Sidewalk Closed. Autocorrector. Sorry. Thank you, Sidewalk Closed, for donating. I really appreciate it. Even Sidewalk gave the hashtag Skye for it, but I guess it's easy. Because I wrote like welcome to Sidewalk, but it came out Skye as well from autocorrect. So. It's just, I guess, my thing is, I guess Megan and my thing is used to saying Skye when it comes out to that way. But yeah, another thing is like about the rain. They had a delay. It must have been really bad because when I went to WrestleMania 29, it was raining as well, and they went on up through the matches. They didn't stop for anything. So this must have been really bad. But yeah, Skye, your thoughts about having a crowd back too?
I thought it was amazing. Honestly, I could feel the emotion. You can see it, like Alicia was saying. You can see it on their faces and everything. They were just really excited, very happy. Every single time you saw them come down the ramp and everything, you could see this just big smiles on their faces. And for me, it was just this. I was talking to Will about it, and I was just like, it was just very heartwarming and emotional. To have the crowd back and see it, to just get that live reaction. The Thunderdome was great in its own, for what it was and what it represented. But to just have a live crowd there, it was just the significance of just how important the WWE universe is to its superstars. It's just, if you didn't know it before, you knew it now. And I thought that was just amazing. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, Side agrees. Says happy to have the crowd back. And too bad it was limited capacity, but it wasn't really. It looked like it was pretty full from what I saw. Like with the not the front section, not the sit down open front section closer to the wrestlers, but the bowl area seemed like pretty full. So I don't know what the rules are in Florida. Obviously, Sidewalk would know better, but I don't know, man. It just seemed a lot fuller than I wanted it to be. But
I commented that on to Joe because I remember when they first talked about letting the crowd back. Someone had shared that what the email or ticket thing was, and you're supposed to be like in pods with like your group number and things like that. And I was like, wait, that does not look like they were following what they said they were. And then Joe said there were actually other like cardboard cutouts in the not on the hard cam where you can see the fresh cam, but like around the it's around the stadium.
Yeah, on the
There were other,
side
like,
where the camera's not showing.
yeah, to make it look fuller than it was. I was like, well, there's that, but it was still a little too close to my liking.
Yeah. 50% capacity, but maybe it's like a Firefest where they said they're gonna get pods and all that kind of stuff into 1/3 full actually. Yeah. But I think it was only like they said about 50,000 people across 2 nights, but it just looked like a lot of people in the audience for more than I thought they would allow in proximity to each other. I should say, not like not a capacity audience, but I mean like in vicinity of each other. All right, that brings us to our next match, which is also Skye. It's the tag team turmoil match featuring the team of Naomi and Lana, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, the Riot Squad featuring Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott, Tamina and Natalya, and Billie Kay and Carmella, the winner of which would go on to face the women's tag team champions on night 2. How did it go, Skye?
Oh boy. All right. So first team to the ring was the team of Naomi and Lana, which I love them as a tag team, by the way. I don't know if a lot of people like them, but for me personally, I like them as a tag team. The team that they were facing was Billie Kay and Carmella, just a makeshift tag team that they threw together. Naomi and Carmella start. Naomi showing dominance early off. She tags in Lana, who continues to fight. Carmella turns things around, fighting back, then tags in Billie Kay. Lana is able to make it back to her corner and tags in Naomi again. Naomi is able to regain control temporarily while Naomi and Carmella fight. Carmella rolls out of the ring, only for Billie Kay to come up behind Naomi and go for a roll-up pin and gets the win, eliminating, of course, Naomi and Lana. Next out is the Riot Squad. Riot Squad starts off strong, but Billie Kay eventually is able to fight back enough to get to her corner and tag in Carmella. Carmella and Billie keep Liv in the corner, stomping her a few times. Billie tries to go for a pin again, with Carmella putting her feet against Billie's back to get give her more leverage, but the ref caught this. Carmella gets hit, but Ruby, I'm sorry, and she falls out of the ring. Liv takes advantage and slams Billie up against her knees, holding her there, while Ruby goes to the top rope and hits Billie with the senton. Liv pins Billie, and the Riot Squad pick up the win. Carmella is upset with the loss. She comes back in and pushes Liv into Ruby, and then kicks her in the face, then runs off. Next out is Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Mandy Rose starts off with a running knee, stunning Ruby, and tags in Dana Brooke, who hit her with a blockbuster and goes for the pin, but Liv comes in at the last second and breaks up the count. After a lot of back and forth, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose seemingly have the upper hand, and after a beautiful superplex from the top rope by Mandy Rose, Dana goes to the top rope after tagging herself in and hits Liv with a swanton. She goes for the cover, and Ruby tries to break it up, but is pulled out by Mandy Rose, only for Liv to reverse it and ends up pinning Dana and picking up the win again for the second time. Next out is the team of Tamina and Natalya. Natalya starts things off looking to take advantage of the weakened Liv Morgan and tries to put her in the sharpshooter, only for Liv to once again go for a reversal, roll-up pin. But Natalya kicks out quickly. Natalya and Tamina clearly have the advantage in this fight, and it shows because obviously they're fresh, and this is the second match that Riot Squad is in. They dominate most of the match, and although Ruby and Liv put up a valiant effort, unfortunately they were too exhausted. After laying out Ruby, Natalya goes for the sharpshooter, but changed her mind and tells Tamina to go for it. Tamina hits Ruby with a superfly splash, and 1, 2, 3, it's over. Natalya and Tamina are going forward to fight Nia and Shayna for the women's tag team titles.
It was. I'll let Delisha go first about this. Go ahead, Delisha.
Yeah. I think that while a lot of the wrestling that we saw in this match was good to great, it really highlighted what we've been saying probably since January at least, how, again, we've come into that rut where WWE doesn't like the tag team wrestling scene. Because it was never more apparent that most of these teams, outside of Riot Squad and maybe Naomi and Lana, that all these teams are just makeshift teams that they have put together to do what? I don't know. And I didn't really care about this match outside of the enjoying some of the wrestling, because it was just thrown together in the last maybe week or so just to get them on the card. I guess also because we weren't having a women's battle royal like we did with the men. on SmackDown. Um, it's it was just very convoluted. And again, if you've been listening for a while, you know me. I like my storylines. If I just want straight up wrestling, I'll go watch college wrestling. I don't know, but the matches were fine. It was kind of weird to see Natty and Tamina win, just because they haven't really been doing anything with them lately, except for, like I said, the last 2 weeks to push them for WrestleMania, and they kept iterating that they want to get out of their respective families' shadows, the Hearts and the Snickers. But yet, everything they did mostly in that match was like a tribute to them, including Natty's entrance music and their finisher. So I was like, well, you guys lied to us about that one. But oh no, I mean, it was fine. It was fine. It wasn't my favorite match, but it was okay.
What do I always say? When you throw more than like 2 people in a ring, more than 3, I should say, in a match that's like go interacting, like there's usually a lot of mess ups. I'd have to say this is the first time we've seen a women's match with more than 2 people in the ring, and it went, I think, almost went flawless. This is very good wrestling throughout the entire match by everyone. I think there was one mistake through it, but like, hey, that happens. But this was like very well wrestled. I really, really enjoyed this match. Like I said, like the night did not lack, or both nights did not lack good wrestling. But when it comes to how it was executed at the end for the finish, I always had to question Vince McMahon's if he's still senile or not, right? If he's senile, right? So like what happened at the end is like I'm not trying to jump the gun or anything, but like if Natty and Tamina are gonna win, let them win all the way, right? So we don't know what's gonna happen yet. I mean, we do know, but I will let Skye talk about it on for night 2. But if Tamina and Natalya are gonna win, let them go. Let them win the whole thing. Like, let them get their moment that they deserve. Especially Tamina, right? The crowd is really behind her because they really want her to get that moment. So if they won, like which they did, I think they should have won all the way. We'll talk about that later. But who could have also gotten it? I think the Riot Squad was fantastic in the ring, and it was really good to see that happen again, like to see them reunited, because when Liv Morgan went and did her weird shticks that she did, with that like sexy Liv Morgan and the lesbian Liv Morgan and whatever that was and all that kind of stuff, it kind of was lacking, right? Like, I don't know how to explain it. And Ruby Riott was obviously out with injury, so it was like Liv Morgan was in limbo. You can call her Limbo Morgan, right? Limborgan. Anyway, so yeah, I want the Riot Squad back and just kicking ass, because they did a great job last night, and all the women did. Dana Brooke and Mandy also like that. Right below them, Billie Kay sells great with Carmella, and like Skye said earlier, I love seeing Lana with Naomi. I don't like the whole dancing gimmick that Naomi has, but when she's with Lana, it's like they feed off each other, and I love seeing that. Like, they love dancing with each other, and that's like so fun to watch. They all did a great job. This is probably one of my favorite women's matches in WrestleMania history, when you throw in like 8 women at one time, because normally it's usually like a Braun and Panties Battle Royal or evening gown match or some stupid stuff like a 8-pack challenge, and then people are just running and doing finishers. This was actually a very well wrestled match, and I enjoyed it through and through. And thank you, Randall, for the donations for Cusco's Flowers. Thank you for that. We've been saying all night, Megan will be dropping the links. If you guys, we know, unfortunately, we lost Cusco at the beginning of this month. We are getting together to donate money to get a flower bouquet for his family and put it by his gravestone. So if you want to donate, Megan's been putting the link, and it's also pinned to the comments, or pinned to the chat. So, but thank you, Randall. So yeah, this was a great match. I really enjoyed it. One of the better matches of the beginning. I mean, so far we've had 2 solid matches back to back, and 2 solid recaps of them by Skye. So we're on a roll so far. All right, now next up is Sheamus. Oh my God. Did I say this for Cesaro like 4 times, or did I call Sheamus Cesaro last time? I think I called Sheamus Cesaro, and I love those both. I love the bar. I was telling my friend yesterday how much I love the bar. So it's gonna be Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, and like a grudge match. And I think Delisha, are you covering this one, or is it Skye again? Okay, Delisha. Okay.
Yeah, it's because they're best friends. You know, when you get best friends together, you always get them mixed up.
Yep. I blame that.
And like I said in the chat, I take much fewer notes than Skye does, so mine recap.
Did you see my comment? What I just said? Eric Monroe, who was the third leg of our show, he's a huge fan of Stannis. Stannis always corrected between less and fewer. This would be less notes in this case because you're not talking about an individual note. It's like a collection of notes. So when it's a collection of things, it's less or more. But if you're talking about individual things that can be counted individually, then it's fewer. So that would be fewer note cards, but you take it on a sheet of paper, right? So it would be less notes. So Eric would be so proud if he was watching right now that I pulled out Stannis Baratheon. I incarnated Stannis Baratheon for that.
I'm going to time code it and send it to him.
Yes, you should.
So we have Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. This was just like it's almost similar to what we had between, I believe it was Cesaro and Sami Zayn, where they just had like all these matches between each other, but they were all so good that you just want to see them again and again and again. And we've seen these two have been going at it for the last maybe month or two on SmackDown, just because from Seth being slighted by Cesaro upon his return. Because much like Roman Reigns, we're supposed to acknowledge Seth as their savior. So we have a savior and a head of the table. I don't know how that's going to work. But what we did know and what was going to work is that these two in the ring was going to give us magic. And right off the bat, Cesaro tried to go for the swing, because that was the big thing, is that he swung Seth around like 22 times, either last week or the week before on SmackDown, and that riled him up. But Rollins, being the smart, cagey guy that he is, and managed to get out of it both times, the two times in the beginning that he tried it. But then Cesaro will go for a spinning European uppercut and then drop kick Rollins so that he was seated into the top rope. But then Rollins was able to escape and get a flurry of attacks of forearms to Cesaro. And then Rollins will also go on and hit a superplex into the Falcon Arrow into a near fall, which that was kind of cool to see. And he would continue to... Excuse me. Thank you. And he would continue to work on the arm for Rollins, eventually getting Cesaro to, once he tried to go for a spin once again, to not be able to complete it because he was getting that arm worked and so selling that injury. And then we would get Rollins coming off top ropes for some sort of like twisted splash. It was like a corkscrew 450. I don't know what that was, but it was cool to see. Maybe someone could let me know in the comments if there was an actual name or a proper wrestling term for that move, but it was like this corkscrew twisting.
Yeah, it was like a corkscrew plancha.
Yeah, thank you. But almost giving Rollins the upper hand again. But again, Cesaro, being again the smart technical wrestler that he is, would be able to respond by hitting the neutralizer after kicking out from that splash. Sorry, I thought I'd sneeze again. And then we would have Cesaro going for another neutralizer after a flurry of attacks from Rollins, but he would counter that into the pedigree, which we hadn't seen Rollins do in a while, or at least upon his return. He hasn't really pulled that out. So that was kind of interesting. Kind of, in a way, storytelling that Rollins was really going to the depth of his maneuvers to try to get the pin on Cesaro. But he would then try to go for the stomp, but Cesaro would pop up and give him another European uppercut, and then do a hands-free airplane turn, which they call the UFO, which is basically he has Cesaro spinning like on his head and his shoulders with no hands, which this is really cool, and do not try that at home. You might snap your neck. So that is our advisory PSA for the day. And then he will follow it up to finally get his swing on, and this time get 23 swings, breaking his personal record, at least on Rollins. And then go head on to neutralizer for the 3 count. And again, these two just put on a really great match. It was after like a really good match with Lashley and McIntyre, the good wrestling from the women, and then we get like third straight in a row, like a really good, just sound like technical and big move match with these two. And I think the right person won. You've had Rollins, kind of degrading Cesaro for these last couple of weeks, so it's kind of just your big, not that stuff of being like a bully, but it's kind of like your triumphant good guy win. So hopefully, even though I think we've said this for the last maybe 10 years, this will give Cesaro a rub and maybe put him maybe it's like at the very least a mid-card title run somewhere down the line. I don't know. What did you guys think of this match?
Before we get, I'm gonna go kick it over to Skye first for his thoughts. But before we get to Skye, I just want to say it shouldn't be a mid-card. It should be for the main. Now I can see. I think I did say this to Roger when he was here. if Cesaro wins, he can go fight Bobby Lashley since Bobby Lashley won. But then I realized they're probably not on the same brand because I never know who brand anyone's on. So he now can go fight Roman Reigns and hopefully beat Roman Reigns. Probably won't, but at least he'll get a shot at it. And also, it was not 23. I counted. I hate how people count. I always thought every time when he swings, you have to start from the point of swing. You can't be like 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, like every time you get to the first point of the swing, that's when you count your next thing. People are just like counting in like their fast seconds. Like they should have enough practice for counting down from the Royal Rumble. They still don't do that right either nowadays. Still to this day. So like they're always too fast in counting. So like, and even 1, 2, 3. Like when they count, when the referee's knocked out and someone pins somebody, they're like 1, 2, 3. That's not how you count. Have you ever watched wrestling in your life? It's 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay, just like this when he spins. If it starts from here, you can't be like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like adding. He only had like 18 swings. Just so you guys know, it wasn't 23. It was 18 swings. I counted properly. Okay, it's like 17 to 18 because I was drinking, so who knows? But it wasn't 23. And Michael Cole was wrong, and everyone was wrong. So just make sure, go back and watch it, and let them know I told you to watch it. All right, Skye, your thoughts.
My thoughts on this match was, I was going in wanting Cesaro to win. Seth Rollins has had his WrestleMania moment, and I was really wanting Cesaro to have his. So going into that, I already was looking at like hopefully Cesaro will win this, and he did. It was a great, solid match. I really enjoyed it. Again, a great show of wrestling by both guys. I really enjoyed seeing Seth Rollins pull out the pedigree, which, as Alicia said, he hadn't done in a while. So to see him do that, because he had been relying, of course, on the curb stomp here lately, and Falcon Arrow and all that good stuff and everything, which is fine and everything. But to see him go back to his roots and using the pedigree, I thought that was pretty awesome. Of course, Cesaro. Neither men, I thought, was made to look weak in the match, which I thought was pretty cool. Of course, obviously, Cesaro was able to swing him around and everything because that's just the gimmick, and it's funny to see. But overall, I thought the match was very solid, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought this match would probably steal the night, and it was one of the better matches of the evening. Like I said, neither night really lacked for wrestling. Like it was very well wrestled both nights. Here's where I first loved how the story went, and I agree with the booking and everything. So this is where I was the first match I wasn't upset at all, except for the counting and all that stuff. That upset me. But other than that, the way the match was booked, the way the match was wrestled, like Skye said, neither of them looked weak. And Skye going back, I'm not Skye, Cesaro. Cesaro went back to the equalizer, right? That's what it's called. That his finisher where he cracks the neck and then he does that. I love that move, and I'm glad to see he went back to it. All right.
Yeah, neutralizer.
Neutralizer. Thank you. That's it. Next match. All right, finally, here I go. Was for the Raw Men's Tag Team Championship, featuring the New Day against AJ and Omos. Almost started off the match, but Kofi and Xavier Woods were like, no, AJ, we want you. So they tricked Omos to get out of the ring. It's obviously because they want to protect Omos's, skill. He probably lacks skill. He's just sheer size. Or so we're meant to believe, right? And this match was a great wrestling clinic again. You have two tremendous wrestlers in AJ Styles and Kofi Kingston. I'm not really a fan of Xavier Woods, but I do love Kofi and I do love AJ. And I have to give to the New Day, though. They are a great tag team as a tag team. I hated them as a tag team because I would love to see them as individuals, right? I love now Big E's doing great things on his own. Kofi did great things on his own. I don't much care for Xavier, so whatever. But, as a tag team, they're great as in-ring workers, right? So they were classic old school tag team wrestling here, where you cut the ring in half. Because obviously the threat outside the ring is Omos, and AJ can make anything look good. So basically, it was just a classic wrestling match put on where they cut the ring in half and kept AJ away from Omos. And there's a few times where he was getting close to Omos, but Xavier would run out to the outside, slide into the ring, and cut off AJ. And then it wasn't really anything that spectacular. I can't remember any highlights, like no trust falls, nothing like that, nothing really cool done. It was just basically old school tag team wrestling, cutting the ring in half and preventing the tag partner, the other team's member to make a tag to his partner. We expected a hot tag. It wasn't really a hot tag. It was kind of like an awkward tag. AJ's like crawling and Almost is there. Oh, can I mention how bad Almost like made tags look? Almost is like 8'7", right? He's 8'7". His arm is like 17 feet long. AJ is like 4 feet away from him. He's like as close as I can like touch the leash on the screen right now, right? And like I don't know, he had like T-Rex arms. He was like, okay, let me tag you, AJ. Like, what the hell? Like, reach out. He could have tagged AJ on like 17 different occasions. But apparently I guess his father was a T-Rex. He can't stretch his arms out. I don't know what it was, but like that was really bad. That made like Almost look bad. I didn't like that because you're supposed to be a big dude. His wingspan is probably, no joke, his wingspan is probably like 8 feet, maybe more, right? So he couldn't hold the tag rope and he could probably reach over to halfway through the ring. But like AJ was literally like maybe 3 feet from the corner and he couldn't tag him. That was stupid. But, you know, it's also a testament to New Day for keeping the AJ away. But when that actually finally happened, you know, I think I don't know if it was Kofi or Xavier, but they got up like they did a springboard and they were about to jump on AJ, but AJ was like close enough to tag Almost, and then I think if it was, let's just say it's Xavier, he was scared. They tag Almost comes in and does not impress. He doesn't. It was like a reincarnate. Thank God, Great Khali's in the Hall of Fame because now he took the spot of a big guy who can't wrestle and was just there for appearance. Because now Almost can't take that spot because now Great Khali holds it. Shout out to Indians. Almost came in, did not do anything that cool. Like I thought he'd do some cool slams. Nothing cool. He was like just like chopped some claws, threw people around. Nothing cool. The only cool thing he did is stand there so that AJ can do a springboard onto his back or shoulders and then do a phenomenal forearm off of that. And then he pinned with one leg. Like it was really unimpressive for Almost. I know that he's not really meant to be like a fantastic wrestler, I guess. I don't know anything about him other than he's a big dude, but like he really didn't impress at all with any power moves. At least like Great Khali like lifted people and like slammed them like that, you know. But I don't think Almost really impressed anything. He held AJ up on his shoulders after they won. We have new tag team champions, but I was kind of seeing him like this could be the future, like a reincarnation of the Diesel Shawn Michaels role, right? Where you had one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Shawn Michaels, and you had a big bodyguard that could probably wrestle, but didn't get a chance until Diesel turned on Shawn Michaels, and then that rest is history. I thought maybe they can go there with this, but when I saw Almost in the ring, I'm like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. This guy's not... But maybe he's hiding it. Maybe he is hiding it for a future WrestleMania match against AJ Styles, where he actually pulls out like a Diesel-type ring thing. I don't know. Like a moveset. I don't know. But I was just very unimpressed with Almost. This could have been like a Royal Rumble match, a debut at a Royal Rumble, not a WrestleMania. This is unfortunately probably the worst wrestle match of the evening, maybe. And which is a shame because you have, like I said, Kofi and AJ, and Xavier's probably good at wrestling. Who knows? He just plays the trombone for me. Yeah, and then Almost was just trash. Like it was just awful. So I'll go to Alicia first. Alicia, your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much everything with the New Day and AJ was great. Especially like when you mentioned them, doing the tag team thing of keeping the one guy on their side of the ring. Xavier was actually shouting that out to, I think the announced it was like how great this tag team wrestling was. So I thought that was pretty fun. The New Day just continues to entertain. Through pretty much from the jump of their career, no matter what they're told or asked to do, they always try to go out and deliver. To be like the most entertaining thing that they can do. But you're right. When Almost got in the ring, it was just like, oh, I thought there would be more, or at least a hint of some things that he could do. Like you said, it was really just chops and we didn't even get a full slam. So I really want to know what was he doing in the Performance Center these last couple of months that he's had to prepare. So it'll be interesting to see how he is able to continue on as he is a tag team champion now, with feuds in the future. But I don't know. I don't remember what I was watching. Something from NXT, and then I remembered that we still have the. Wait, never mind. They're on a different brand. I think the Viking Raiders are they. I don't remember if they were on Raw and SmackDown, but either way, I think they are primed for a return. Hopefully, if I forget which one, who's ever injured is healthy again. I don't know. I don't see them holding these titles that long, unless they really just play up the almost monster regime thing going on. But If so, I'm not going to be excited for this reign going forward.
I think when they finally do lose, like you said, if they might hold for a little bit, but if they finally do lose, I can see AJ blaming Almost for it, and Almost finally like saying that's enough is enough. I have enough of you pushing me around, and now he's gonna fight back against AJ, and he's gonna have this match against AJ. Maybe not even the next WrestleMania. It'll probably be somewhere down like to SummerSlam or Survivor Series. Not that far down the road, I don't think. I see but it's not gonna be as good as Shawn Michaels these. I can tell you now, unless like Almost is hiding some crazy skill that we don't know about. What are your thoughts, Skye?
Going into this match, I was already kind of upset about it. I didn't like it. It came seemingly out of nowhere. I know AJ and Omos have always been presented as a tag team, but to have them going up for the tag team champions or tag team championship just seemed kind of too soon. Again, I didn't see much of Omos. He was always presented as the bodyguard in the beginning, and then after that, he sort of kind of like, I guess, became intimidating, and then it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a wrestling match, and I'm just like, all right, that's cool. I've always been a huge fan of the New Day, so seeing them in the ring is always gonna get me excited. Like you said, them cutting the ring in half and keeping AJ away from the corner, obviously old school classic moves and everything when it comes to tag teams. So I love seeing them. You know, I know unpopular opinion, obviously, for Cal and everything, but I like Xavier Woods. I think that he's really good at wrestling. In the beginning, I think when they first started, that was all his gimmick was coming out with the trombone, and Big E and Kofi was doing most of the stuff and everything. But then he started stepping his game up, and he started doing a lot more in the ring. And the dude is absolutely amazing in the ring, in my opinion. Not as amazing as Kofi, but let's face it, nobody's amazing as Kofi. He's just one of a kind. But, you know, I still enjoy, like Delisha was saying, they're entertaining in their own right. You love to see them do what they do. I have no idea why they put the belts on them again just for them to lose it this quickly. That just seems odd to me, but it is what it is. Like you both were saying, almost, I was not impressed at all whatsoever. The moment he got into the ring, I was just like, here we go. I'm going to see some awesome stuff, you know, but it didn't happen. He was moving like the great Khali, probably worse, because I think he only took like 1 or 2 steps the entire time he was in the ring, and he didn't do anything great. He was just there. I do agree with you, Cal, in the sense of I don't feel like this tag team is going to last long. AJ is probably going to do something to piss him off, and then that's going to, because I think going forward, AJ is probably going to take on that mentality of talking a lot of trash and then having Omos be there to clean it up. And then Omos is going to get tired of it, saying, okay, dude, you're always putting me in harm's way because you think I'm going to be the one to protect you. Kind of like Cass and Enzo was and everything in that little bit, where Enzo was just that scrappy little talk junk and everything and start stuff, and then Cass had to be there to clean it up and everything. So I don't know. I hope that they don't have a long title run, and I just, the only way they're going to lose the title is obviously if Omos decides to abandon AJ. That's how I see it.
It's very much shades of Dolph Ziggler, Big E Langston as well. They had the same dynamic as well, where Big E was his bodyguard. The one good thing I can say about that is because AJ is probably the greatest wrestler alive, still active, and he can make I think I forgot who said it. I think it was Undertaker said it about Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels could wrestle a broomstick and put on a 5-star match. I feel the same thing about AJ Styles. They actually said this about AJ. They said AJ is the closest thing to Shawn Michaels as a wrestler. You know, AJ, I think is arguably the best wrestler we've ever had. Not taking away from Shawn Michaels. I just feel like AJ's a lot more agile than Shawn Michaels ever was with the cool stuff he could do. Shawn Michaels did cool stuff, but AJ took it to another level. Like he added flying to it, you know. He can. That's the only solace I can get from that thing is if they do have a match, maybe AJ can still make it look good. It will be like fighting a brick wall, and AJ fighting a brick wall and making it still look like a good match. But I guess we'll see. All right, the next match was Braun Strowman against Shane McMahon in a steel cage match, and I believe is it Skye or is it? Yeah,
that's me.
Okay,
yeah. Should I go?
Yep.
All right. Before Strowman even hit the ring, Shane will hold the door shut so Elias and Jackson Ryder can beat him down with steel chairs. They targeted his knee, obviously, and Shane was handed the chair before the match began. Shane went for the head. Strowman blocked, but it wasn't long before Shane had it again. Strowman disarmed him and threw the chair away before standing and throwing strikes with Shane. On one good leg, Shane was able to outpace Strowman and leg kicks, did some work, and staggering him and everything, and hitting him with liver shots and stuff like that. But Strowman just shoved them away. Shane went up to the top and grabbed the sheet of metal off the cage and smashed Strowman in the face with it before going for a pinfall. Strowman, of course, kicked out, and Shane crawled to the door and was stopped by Strowman before he could escape. Shane was thrown across the ring and into the steel cage head first. Before Strowman kicked Shane before Strowman kicked Shane in the ribs. Some heavy blows from Strowman. Saw Shane go between the ropes and in the cage, where Shane was crushed. Strowman was having issues with his leg, of course, because of the first initial attack and everything. And he tried to go for a running power slam, but of course, since his knee buckled and everything, he wasn't able to execute it. Shane was able to ram the head of Strowman into the cage before hitting a DDT. Strowman was set up, and Shane nailed the coast-to-coast drop kick for a near fall. Lyson Riker climbed up the cage and tried to help Shane before Strowman hit the cage with all his weight and sent them both flying. Shane was back up first, but Strowman was on him as they both climbed. There was a trash can on top of the cell with a toolbox inside, which I had to watch it over again because I had no idea where he pulled that toolbox from.
You want to hear something funny? Before when the match started, Raj said, "Oh, why are there buckets in there?" I'm like, "Oh, they probably have weapons or something, like a toolbox in there." And it happened to be a toolbox. It's so funny.
I was like, I didn't even hear that until my second time watching the match, and I was like, oh, okay. But Strowman took it to the head, of course. Shane was able to climb out of the cage, but took his time to wave goodbye. Strowman grabbed Shane's hand and held him in place. He ripped the cage open from the inside. Shane was pulled back in and hit with a choke slam from the top of the cage. He hit the ring. After he hit the ring, Strowman climbed down. After Shane hit him with a running power slam. 1, 2, 3. Strowman wins.
Yeah, like Alicia just said in the chat, she wasn't looking forward to this match. I don't think anyone really was. But, I do look forward to the crazy bump that Shane McMahon will take. And he did take one. He took that somersault off the top of the cage, which was amazing looking. But this match was what did you expect? For a company that preaches anti-bullying, but then gives a bully a Hall of Fame ring this year, it's pretty stupid, but you expect the person who's being bullied to win, like we saw Nia Jax beat Alexa Bliss several years ago. It was the match was what it was, and we did get the one cool Shane bump, and that's what I expected for the match. Delisha?
Pretty much on the same wavelength. I again don't understand why this match. I do understand why this match had to be think because it's Shane, and we want a big WrestleMania spot. But the cool spot of Braun reaching through the cage to get to Shane and throwing him off the top was pretty cool to see. Other than that, still don't care.
Yeah, at least you made Braun look strong, and Braun's looking slim and built, so that's really nice to see, getting in shape.
Yeah. Well, big ups to Braun. If you follow him on social media, which I don't, but it was shared with me, he had been going through a lot of depression and slight alcoholism until he got himself the mental health that he needed while he was in quarantine last year, and when he got into that good amount of shape. So big ups to him, and get help if you need it.
All right. Our next match did not happen, so we'll move to the next match after that. All right, now I will unfortunately go over this match. The next match featured a person nobody likes and Damian Priest against The Miz and Morrison, some of the greatest tag teams ever in the history of mankind. The match started out with Damian Priest in the ring, but much like the Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, the team of Miz and Morrison called for that other guy that nobody really cares about into the ring. The other guy that nobody really cares about came into the ring, and he pretty much dominated Miz. Okay, I don't know why. Great. He's been a fan of WWE all his life. Awesome. Why don't you put me in there too? Great. I've been a fan longer than that guy probably, so why don't you just put me in? Is it because I'm not a multi-Grammy whatever the hell he is? Who cares? I think they build him up as a fan. Oh wait, first of all, let's talk about why is he the only one so far who's gotten an entrance at WrestleMania? That is stupid, also in itself. So I don't even want to talk about that. That he's the only one so far who got an entrance. That's trash. I'd probably rather have seen Omos in the ring there. Anyway, he dominated Miz, which makes absolutely no sense. By that logic, Miz and Morrison singles should have won 4 Grammys, I guess, if that's how the world works. But imagine just having anybody go to another person's thing and just dominate them in that. A former champion. That's not even out of their prime. But anyway, that person dominated Miz, and then Morrison got tagged in and took the upper hand. And Miz and Morrison dominated this lame guy. The lame guy was eventually able to make a tag to Damian Priest. Priest comes in and then pretty much dominates Miz and Morrison. They get a double Falcon Arrow, whatever his move is called. I don't know what his finisher is called, off on Miz and Morrison. Then they get thrown to the outside. Damian Priest tells the whack guy to climb to the top and do a splash off. He does that. Then he does a Canadian Destroyer, but I think they called it a Puerto Rican Destroyer or whatever he's from, Destroyer. And he did that, which looked cool, but don't forget, that was a lot of Morrison or Miz, whoever he did that on, to help him do that. So let's not give any credit to him. Then they get back into the ring. I forgot what happened because I was just so distraught at this point. I didn't want to watch. I was waiting for the next match. All I know is the whack guy and Damian Priest were put over. I think Damian Priest got... No, I don't think he got the pin. I think they gave it to the whack guy. So who doesn't even know what happened at the end of this because I was so upset I couldn't watch. Does anybody know how they got the pin? Does anybody care? Nobody cares about that guy.
Yeah, well, no, Bad Bunny hit a crossbody off of Priest's shoulders, I believe.
Oh.
And then that's how they got the pin.
Oh, so that's how you beat former champions, just with a crossbody. Garbage! This match never happened. We're taking it off the history of WrestleMania. Skye, your thoughts?
I'm probably gonna get a lot of heat from this, but I like the match. I like Bad Bunny. I've always been a fan of his music, so that was great. I think that out of all the special guests that they've had, he did the best work in ring. I mean, you cannot deny that much. He was taking bumps, he was pulling out moves, and this is a dude who, I mean, if you put, he was in the Performance Center, obviously training. If you put him next to Omos, obviously he was the one that was paying attention in class. Because Omos did not impress, and this dude is being pushed as a main card, next big thing and everything. And this is Bad Bunny, who was only supposed to be a one-off, and that was it. And this dude performed much better than Omos in the ring, regardless of his size or anything like that. So yes, say what you want to say about him, say what you want to say about the match, and especially if you're going up against Miz and Morrison, who again I love as a tag team. I love Miz, that's my favorite superstar. I hated to see him treated this way. I hate to see the title come off of him the way that it did, but it is what it is and everything. But like I said, honestly, I don't think it was the best match of the night, but it was far from the worst match of the night. It could have been a lot worse. I've seen a lot worse, especially when you have special guests that appear at WrestleMania and other pay-per-views and everything, where you're supposed to be like, oh, supposed to be funny or whatever. But think about all the special guests they've had in the past, leading all the way up to Bad Bunny. I would say that Bad Bunny was the most impressive. Did he deserve to get the win? No. Did he deserve to defeat Miz with a crossbody? Absolutely not. But if, again, as you said at the beginning, if we're talking about just sheer wrestling performance, I think that they did a solid job. No, it wasn't believable. Obviously, it was meant for Miz and Morrison to lose because, one, they're heels, and two, you're also trying to make Damian Priest look good, and also your special guests look good as well. So they have to, give them the spotlight and everything. I get that and stuff. However, like I said, if we're looking at a sheer performance aspect, I say that, in my opinion, I say that they did a good job.
Yeah, me and Skye are simpatico right now because I absolutely adored this match. Because it was a match that had probably low expectations for probably everyone who was watching, because they're like, oh, okay, another celebrity match at WrestleMania, whatever. He's probably going to be on the apron for most of the time while Damian Priest does all the work. No, he was in there right away, and you can tell that the dude was actually, well, probably not, I don't know if he was at the actual Performance Center, but he was actually practicing to make himself look as as if he belonged there as good as he could in the amount of time that he was allotted to be on this card. And also knowing that he's an actual wrestling fan raises up his stock because he's not just some random celebrity coming to promote his upcoming tour or what have you, just so he can be on like a WrestleMania TV screen to get more eyes on him. And it really was like a it was really a cohesive partnership between WWE and Bad Bunny because you would get the Bad Bunny fans tuning in.
What fans? He has no fans. Nobody likes him.
Cal's going to get us canceled when the Latinos come to our show because we said we don't like Bad Bunny. But I also am like Skye. I also like his music as well. So yeah. But yeah, I really did enjoy this match. It had no business being as good as it was. And much like the New Day, The Miz, I was going to say Miz, but The Miz in general takes whatever it is that the writers get to him and try to make it as gold as possible, as entertaining as possible, so that we still, at the end of the day, we're going to remember The Miz, no matter what. Hopefully, I mean, I honestly want an end to the Miz and Morrison tag team because it hasn't really done anything since, Morrison has come back. Let them drift off. They don't have to like break up and then be some, backstabbing relationship. They could just splinter off and do their own singles thing. But because when Miz was champion for that hot second, we got serious Miz back a little bit, and I missed that a little. I missed that.
Yeah, Miz can do anything with any situation he's given. So kudos to him for that. And they did actually do this to promote his concert because right after it happened, they had a skit on WWE Network or something that I happened to see on YouTube of Triple H handing him that trash bag, that guy in the ring, a suitcase, and the suitcase opened up with a mic with the Triple H like skull on it, and he wrote his stupid entrance that he did out of the arena, and because that should be me instead. No one knows who that guy is, and why is he messing with Miz? Miz is the greatest thing to happen to WWE in the past 472 years.
What?
And
you hate on Bobby Lashley for taking the title, bro.
I did. I was so upset about it. Miz could have won the Royal Rumble. Miz was distracted so many times from all this stuff because of that trash bag guy. All right, so he doesn't deserve to have his name said. And you're talking about people who did well. About celebrities who didn't do well or whatever. Look at Snooki. Jersey's own Snooki did like a somersault back handspring elbow, much like Tajiri in that match at WrestleMania.
That's all he did. That's literally all.
That was better than anything this guy did in the ring. He didn't do anything cool like that.
Yes, he did.
A crossbody? Anybody can do a crossbody. So you can't even say the Puerto Rican Destroyer. That takes two people to do. Snooki did this on her own. And not even Snooki. We can talk about Stephen Amell, the Arrow himself, coming in at SummerSlam and putting on a fantastic match against Stardust, I think it was, Cody Rhodes, and he did like springboards and all that cool stuff. So this guy was absolute trash. Nobody likes him. Nobody likes Damian Priest. So, Miz and Morrison, Miz and Morrison are gonna go down as winning this match. If this match, first of all, didn't even happen. Second of all, if it happened, Miz and Morrison won. Okay, that's how it's gonna be left off as. So that's how we're ending it. Next match featured the women's SmackDown tag. Oh, not tag team. Not even tag team. They were a tag team for like a day. The women's they got me so out of thing. I couldn't finish watching the last match because I was so upset about it. Anyway, so your winners of that match were Miz and Morrison. Miz pinned both of them at the same time, but not the way Roman Reigns did. He put them side by side so there's no controversy. Because Miz is smart. Anyway, the final match of night one, the main event, which was tweeted for, a huge Twitter, whatever you call those things on Twitter, campaign happened to make this the main event, which it did. And featured the SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks defending against the Women's Royal Rumble winner, Bianca Belair, and Delisha rightfully gets this match because she's a big fan of both. I'm a big fan of one. You could probably guess which one and how I react when this match is called. Well, that I fell asleep during, so don't even ask me what happened during this match. I fell asleep during this match. But go ahead.
So yeah, well, good thing we have this recap to clue you in. But yeah, this was the match that rightfully so should have main event at night one, because also it was the match with the biggest build up compared to the other matches of the card. But we have the champion Sasha Banks versus the Royal Rumble winner of 2021 of Bianca Belair. To where I think this match really showed how special the crowd was, because they literally took the first maybe 2 minutes to just stand there and soak it all in, and you can tell again Sasha, while she was, I wouldn't call her like the heel, but she was just more kind of like the protagonist of this match, to where she was to be like the more serious and the aggressor of this match, trying not to cheese and smell like the babyface could, to take it into being in front of the crowd, to be the first two black women in the main event of WrestleMania for a championship match ever. And I'm glad they called that out, Michael Cole. I will give you kudos for that, although I usually don't give you credit on much of anything else. But I'll give you credit on that for calling that out, so that we know how historically this match was to a lot of people watching at home, including my younger cousin. So we start off with Banks trying to be the aggressor, like I said earlier, taking down Belair and having to try to use her speed to counteract Belair's athleticism and power, where she would be like the more power striker of this move, while Sasha, of course, would be like the more like high flyer speedster. And she would continue that for probably the first 5-8 minutes of this opening match, and she would try to go for the suicide dive onto Belair on the outside of the ring. She didn't botch it. She got caught by Belair, who caught her through a roll through, and then I guess do you call that the military press? Or the
gorilla press? The gorilla press, yeah. I was waiting for that part. I was waiting for that part. I think that's why I fell asleep when she got it.
Holding her up while she carried her back up the ring steps to throw her back into the ring. And that is not an easy task to do if you don't have any upper body strength. And then she would try to go for a moonsault on to Banks, but as we will start to see throughout the match, Banks would pull Belair's hair. The two B's are gonna mess me up, so I'm sorry if I start to get them mixed up, like Cesaro and Sheamus. To use her hair as a counter, and then go for a series of knee strikes before going for a pin, which only resulted in a 2 count. And then they will go ahead and land back outside the ring, where Banks again would try to use Bianca's hair to pull her through the ring post, but she would reverse instead and pull her. They're having a tug of war match, honestly, with her hair and then Sasha would hit the post instead of Belair, which was what she intended. And then they would get back into the ring, to where Belair would try to do a suplex, bouncing her off the ring ropes before she would be dived into the mat, but would not be able to get the pin there. And then, as I said earlier, throughout the match, we would try to get Banks trying to use her hair as a countermeasure, because if you've seen Bianca's Belair matches before, if she doesn't use it in the actual match, it can be a counterpoint that actually probably before this match not a lot of people will use as against her, which even Kyle has pointed that out throughout her SmackDown tenure, of why don't people just use that against her. So apparently Sasha watches our show, or at least the writers do, although we kind of knew that before, because now you see her trying to use that against her, but it only worked a few times. Sorry. Thank you. But sometimes, like I said, wasn't able to use the hair to her advantage, so Belair would go into the air again, trying to do a 450 splash, but Banks would get her knees up to counter the move, so we fight on. And then Belair would go on to try to hit using her power to her advantage with some power bombs. Again, almost getting the fall, but not so quite. But then going for another power bomb, Sasha would reverse that with a facebuster, and then would follow that up with a tornado DDT, again getting us a near fall. And then we would get another near fall count. Actually, before taking those, I didn't realize how many 2 count near falls we got in this match. Sasha would go ahead and hit the frog splash, although we always do that quotation marks for Sasha, much to Cal's chagrin.
How did it look this time?
Hmm?
Was it still bad?
Eh.
Okay. Typical. All right, go ahead.
And then, but she would try, and then after that, would go try to get a submission move, not a typical crossface. Again, using Bianca's hair around her to pull it into submission, and for the bank statement, and then, but she would get a near 5 pin because apparently that's illegal. I don't know, but Belair managed to get to the rope, so that really didn't even matter. And then Banks would go ahead and do a series of those kicks to their head as she would, continually showing the aggression and frustration that she can't put the quote unquote rookie away, as she repeatedly called her throughout their promos up to this match. But then Banks would roll her up for a knee strike, but Belair moved out the way, and then go ahead for another 450 splash for the 2 count. And then while Sasha was disoriented, Belair would hit for the KOD, but Sasha countered that again, grabbing her hair, but this time Belair was able to yank her hair back and then used it to her advantage, as she's known to do in her match, against the midsection of Sasha, and the camera's volume level was turned up to 10 because it was heard, I swear, across the whole arena, not just on the television. And there was this one reaction that I wish I could have grabbed from this woman in the crowd who was astounded about the hair whiplash to Sasha's midsection. But then Belair would go ahead to hit the KOD for the win, and the crowd, as they should have, went bananas. For one, just amazing Mania match that we got between these 2 women, and the sort of passing of the torch from Sasha to put over Bianca Belair, who's put in a lot of hard work over the last couple of years from NXT up until the main roster. And history was made of them 2 being the first Black women to main event this show, and it was just a fantastic match. I don't understand how anyone could have hated it, and if you hate it, you just hate women. I said it. What did you guys think of the match?
I hated it. I hate women. No, Skye, go ahead first.
Absolutely loved this match. I was looking forward to it. It was one of the matches I was looking forward to the most, besides the Drew McIntyre Bobby Lashley fight. I was so excited. I absolutely love Bianca Belair. I agree with Alicia. She has been working hard from NXT all the way up into the main card and everything. Having her go up against Sasha Banks, I couldn't pick anybody better besides, of course, Becky Lynch, maybe. But it was great. Both of them looked so strong during the match. I loved the beginning, the emotion on both their faces. Even Sasha was trying her best to hold back and everything, but it was peeking out and everything, and you loved to see it. It meant a lot. It was more than just a wrestling match to them. This was history in the making for them, and they were a part of it. They were making it. It was active. It was live, and they was able to do it in front of a live crowd, which made it even more epic. I absolutely loved this match from the beginning to the end. Again, like I said, they both look strong. Neither of them looked too dominant or too weak or anything like that. There was just so much that was going on. The wrestling was phenomenal. The build-up was phenomenal. The storyline between the 2 of them, phenomenal. This was everything that a match should have been and everything in WrestleMania. There wasn't, she just came out of nowhere and challenged Sasha Banks and everything. No, she rightfully earned her spot to be able to challenge either of the 2 women. She chose her, although they kind of put them in a makeshift tag team because reasons. That's what WWE does and everything. We're going to force you guys to get along because this is going to be entertaining and everything. And although they were a pretty good tag team and everything, obviously you have Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks and everything. Unfortunately, egos got the best of them, and then you add the little whatever his name is, I can't remember, getting in the way and everything like that and stuff. To me, again, like I said, it was a healthy build-up to an amazing match that happened at WrestleMania in front of thousands of people, and I think it was executed properly. I have no problems with the match whatsoever. I think everything was amazing. Like I said, going into it, it was one of the matches I was looking forward to the most. I'm a huge fan of Sasha Banks. I'm a huge fan of Bianca Belair. So for me to see those two go at it at WrestleMania, it was just outstanding. I had a tear in my eye. It was that amazing to me. That historic moment, like I said, to me, it was amazing. I loved it.
All right, time to hit people with reality. Fact number 1. Ronda Rousey was the first black woman to main event WrestleMania. Boom! I said it, and there we go. But on a real note, that was a really good moment. Seeing Bianca Belair tear up and stuff like that, and Sasha holding. I can see Sasha, like Skye said, I can see Sasha holding it back. Like that really meant a lot. Like I was actually touched by that. I do have sort of a heart, kind of. But yeah, seeing Bianca's face, that was it was good to see. Like that is the emotion I want to see for somebody who has a passion for the business. That's what I love to see. All right, back to being real again. I fell asleep, but what I saw was pretty cool. Like it was pretty good wrestling. I did end up seeing highlights of it later on and stuff like the 450 splashes, the hair whip, and all that kind of stuff. But that gorilla press, where she caught Sasha on the outside, brought her back up the steps. That was awesome. I love seeing that. Like Bianca Belair has grown on me. I wasn't a fan of Bianca Belair back when we watched her in NXT. Deletion, I would go and she'd tell me about Bianca Belair. I wasn't a fan of her, but she has. I think Survivor Series back a year or two ago was when she really grew on me, when I saw her athletic ability and how good she was in the ring. I'm not taking anything away from her in the ring. She is probably the best woman wrestler I've seen in a long time, complete package wise. So that I love seeing about her. I love that after, I don't know if Alicia mentioned this, but when the cameras went off the air, Montez Porter or whatever, right? Montez Ford, whatever his name is, came down and celebrated with her. I love seeing that moment. I said the same thing when Kofi won the championship. Oh, thank you, Gary, for donating for the Cusco's flowers. Thank you for that, Gary, and welcome. I love seeing that, her celebrate with her family. Her family was cheering in the front. I love seeing that. I love seeing her celebrate Montez Ford. Sorry, I keep thinking of Montel Davis Porter MVP and saying Montez Ford. Sorry. Other than that, though, when? Delicia's talking about passing the torch. When can Sasha even hold a torch? She gets it and they extinguish her right away. She gets a championship and she loses it like walking back to the gorilla room after the match is over. Like someone like R-Truth will run out and pin her and become the new women's champion. Like Sasha Banks cannot hold a title if her life depended on it, and I hate that because I love Sasha Banks. She is one of the original 4 horsewomen that put the NXT on the map for the women's division. Am I not right about that, Delisha? You would know better than me, but I feel that is true. Her and the other 3 women. It is passing a torch, but she's never got to hold the damn torch, is what I'm trying to say. She's never really had her WrestleMania moment because she lost it. She was so happy and proud with Bayley to be the women's first ever women's tag team champions, and then to lose it at WrestleMania to the Iconics, who I love the Iconics, but to have them lose it to the Iconics right away, I was still upset about that. As much as I love the Iconics, I was upset about that. I will not, though, condone their behavior in the way that they acted. They had the same passion as me about losing, and they acted like children, but I don't condone their behavior after they lost. But I see where they're coming from, like I said, I don't want to take anything away from Bianca Belair. I love seeing her emotion in the beginning. I love how she works in the ring. I loved her celebration after with her family. That's all a testament to her character, her hard work, and everything. Did she deserve it? No. Too soon for her. I don't think she did. She worked hard at NXT. Give her time. Have her lose at WrestleMania. Just like Asuka. Asuka was probably the most dominant woman in NXT ever. Never losing, right? Coming up, winning the woman, pretty much the same path as Bianca Belair. But then, obviously, she has to go against super female Cena, right? And lose. Freaking Charlotte Flair has to beat her. Why can't someone like Sasha get that, right? Treatment. Where she's worked really hard and she's always given up the belt when asked to, because she's only held the belt she's held the belt 77 times, but her total days of holding the belt is probably 7 days total of a week of holding the belt. That's how I know it's exaggerated, but that's how I feel. And it sucks. Bianca Belair is the future of the women's division. I'll tell you that right now. But is she the right now? No, I don't think she should be the right now. I think Banks should have got her due and having her WrestleMania moment. I think she doesn't mind passing it on because they, like Dilly said, they set history. Being the first black woman to main event WrestleMania. So, like, I think just being part of that made Sasha feel good inside, and passing on to the future, yes, passing the torch. But I feel like she should have finally gotten her moment at this WrestleMania and won. And because Bianca has a long future ahead of her, a long successful future, and I think they should have given it to Sasha this time around.
I don't hear you. I do.
Wait. I just want to say, there's like, I'm going to compare this like to like Undertaker's streak. Undertaker was saying, like, if he was to lose the streak, we know he lost it. But I'm saying before this happened, he was saying if he was to lose the streak, he wants to lose it to someone who needs it, right? When he lost to Brock did not need it. Brock was one of the hottest things, and he was already established. I know Bianca's not established, but I feel like Sasha's not that established in the main roster either. Like, I mean, in her time, she's won the championships, but she's never got to like soak it in and take it and have a WrestleMania moment. That's like what is the stamp, right? That's a stamp. Like, get that WrestleMania moment. And yeah, it's a moment for setting history, but I feel like winning at WrestleMania would have done it. You know, Bianca will have a future. This is not Bianca's, I don't think, last main event at WrestleMania. So I feel like she will have a future, and she could have had this moment in the future. But Sasha really, really, really needed this. And that's how I felt, and that's why I'm so hurt about this. But, you know, congratulations to Bianca. But Sasha really needed this. Sorry, Bleach, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was gonna say I do agree with you on that point, to where it does seem a little, I don't think jilted's the right word, to where Sasha doesn't really get to have her WrestleMania win, because I can't remember if she's actually ever won at WrestleMania, although she's had a good amount of WrestleMania moments. But I mean, this has been her longest title reign ever outside of NXT ever. So yeah, but much like in the other women's match, I did, for these particular women involved, I would have been happy. Like, for me, it would have been happy, like, either way, to see where they go. I do think this might be the case of WWE trying to strike while the iron's hot, so to speak, with Bianca being such beloved by the fans and the backstage roster as well. Like, there's a lot of people in the backstage and who really, you know, like her. So I do think this is them, like, keeping that momentum and like I said, striking while the iron's hot, because they are notorious for doing the opposite. So at least this time they're hitting a wrestler when they're actually at their peak popularity, so to speak. And to be honest, Sasha is such a marquee of the women's division, to where she is kind of like, not to the degree, but kind of is like Charlotte, to where she can kind of take this loss, one, because it was just a really damn good match, and be okay with it. I'm not exactly sure where we go going forward. I don't want Bianca to lose it right at the next pay-per-view, which we'll get into that as well. I wouldn't want that, but I don't know. I honestly really don't know, because I love them both, and I want them both to win, but, you know, we can't have that.
Here's what I have to say about that. Strike all the iron hot. I get that, but she could have beaten Bianca and still made Bianca look strong. And Bianca looked stronger than the thing, from what I saw and when I saw the highlights, right? She looked strong.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I'm saying she could have still won and put Bianca over in the same sense, with like, hey, like, shake hands at the end, like, I might be the heel, but you definitely gave me a run for my money, and you are the future, kind of thing. Like, she holds the belt, but she also raises Bianca's hand, and that's how they could have pushed that storyline farther. And maybe brought that to WrestleMania Backlash and had them fight again, because, like, hey, I almost beat you just by this much. I lost. Let me get one more shot, and then maybe she wins at Backlash. I know it's not as big, but at least that way Sasha got her moment and Bianca still looked good. Your thoughts about that theory, Skye?
I agree with you, Cal. With the loss that she suffered to Bianca Belair, that puts her at 0-6 right now.
Thank you.
Loss at WrestleMania. I don't think they should have added another loss. Sasha Banks is built as a very strong contender, but they just won't let her have her WrestleMania moment for whatever reason. I'm not understanding that. And I can understand her frustration with the company. I think this happened like a couple of years ago, in which she had like stepped away for a while and it was contemplating whether or not she was going to be leaving or staying or whatever. Then she came back and changed her image and all that good stuff, and that was great, and I loved it and everything. But at the same time, it was like I was hoping that she was going into the match. I was looking forward to both of them just fighting and just both looking strong and everything. But I honestly thought that Sasha Banks was going to come out on top. I didn't think that they was going to give her the title this quickly. I just don't know where they're going to go with it now. But at the same time, like it's happened, so I don't know. It's a bit weird. Like I said, I like both of them, so I can't be upset that she has it. But I can also understand that Sasha just, she should have got the win. But in a rare moment, the camera had panned past Sasha while she was outside the ring after her loss, and she was it showed her smiling. So she was definitely happy about, like Delisha said, passing the torch, or quote, passing the torch, because I know you don't agree with that statement, Cal, but she was definitely happy about that. I don't think it was more passing the torch of the title itself, but more of the notoriety that comes with it, of saying that now you're on top and everything, versus, because I think that she could have passed the torch and still kept the title. Like you said before, if she would have just ended the match by giving a show of respect of saying, I beat you, but you definitely put me through hell. You get the respect. Raise your arm in respect and everything, but understand that I'm still the champion. You lost and everything. It would have made Sasha get her WrestleMania moment, and at the same time also made Bianca Belair still look great and everything. But they, she did. I guess she was very proud of that moment, which is why he was able, like I said, it quickly cut away, but somebody had, was able to screenshot it and catch it and everything like that, and it showed her smiling and everything like she was outside of the ring, looking at Bianca while she was holding the title. So she was definitely still proud and happy about the way things turned out, even if, like I said, she did have to mess up her record even more.
Yeah. I just think, like, sometimes you should reward the people who are always there for you. Like The Miz, for example. But, I don't book it, and that's why they're failing. Speaking of things I didn't book, let's go to night 2, which opens up with The Fiend versus Randy Orton. Okay, Randy Orton comes out, because we always know Randy Orton comes out. But The Fiend actually got an entrance. Awesome! Someone who actually deserves an entrance. Probably the only entrance that we should have had all night. Or both nights. Alexa comes out with to her little Alexa's Playhouse music. There's a giant Jack in the Box. I was hoping when she cranked it, it would play the Fiend's theme song, like a child's version of it, but it played it and then it popped open and then his music hit with the pentagram. The Fiend comes out of the Jack in the Box, and before that happens, it shows him walking from the back through the gorilla area, and he's all burnt like he is in this picture, and it like morphs into the original Fiend mask, like he got resurrected. Anyway, comes out, he no-sells every single move Randy Orton does, cause that's what we expect. The Fiend is supernatural. I remember Sidewalk and I first talking about the Fiend when he comes out and how awesome he was, how dominant he'll be. No, different Alexa. The fact that I had to change my name, but yeah. Sidewalk and I were talking about, like, yeah, man, the Fiend is awesome. How do you think he's ever going to lose? And I think Sidewalk proposed something, and I said, what if they take off his mask? What if that's the source of his power? And when he takes it off, he's back to being Bray Wyatt, and he loses his power, and that's how he gets pinned. Well, we know all that went to shit because of what Goldberg and Saudi money and all that crap that he's lost like 18 times. He's probably lost more at WrestleMania than Sasha Banks lost at WrestleMania. Let's just say that. But yeah, anyway, so Fiend is no-selling everything Randy Orton's throwing at him. 3 hanging DDTs. Slammed into the table outside. Every single thing, he is just no-selling. Which is expected because he's the Fiend, he's resurrected, he's stronger than ever. Or so we think, right? I think Randy finally goes for a RKO, and as he's coming in for the RKO, Fiend hits with the mandible claw. Randy Orton's about to get out of it. He gets out of it, and then he's put into his sister Abigail. Is about to go kiss him. As he's kissing him, Alexa Bliss appears out of the box this time with a new look, which is a pretty cool look. I had to give her that. She has a little tiara. The tiara starts bleeding the black goo that was coming out of Randy Orton's mouth and stuff, and that's come out of her head before. It was really cool. So I guess I don't know if she's officially transferred to Sister Abigail. Whatever happened, that distracts the Fiend. The Fiend gets RKO'd now. Now the RKO was like 14 times stronger, apparently. And that's a 1-2-3. And Fiend loses, but he pops up again right away and just stares at the new Alexa Bliss. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is that supposed to be the new Sister Abigail? Is that like the source of his power? Is he so mesmerized that like it's his weakness? Why is Randy Orton beating the Fiend by one RKO? Like, he was popping out for them before, you know, like, he's supposed to be stronger. It has to be that connection. So, like, I was really, really, really mad. And then, like, the lights go off. I'm like, there's no way they're going to drag that gigantic box out of there right away. So then when the lights come back on, it's just Bliss and the Fiend are gone, but the box is still there. But, like, I was wondering, like, first of all, I was upset. And the whole WWE universe, I feel, was upset because they were booing while that was happening. And we got text this morning from our friend Tom Zambino about it around like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. He was texting us like, what the hell is this? Like, why is this happening? And I guess he was rewatching WrestleMania this morning. But yeah, I felt the same way. I'm gonna give it I guess today, right? Till tomorrow, I guess, because I want to see how the story carries over. I'm not happy. Let's just say I'm not happy how this was booked. The Randy Orton one, which I do like Randy Orton, but like I wanted the Fiend to win. Why do you keep making the Fiend lose? This is like Sasha Banks of the men. Right? Like, makes no sense. Why is he losing? Always losing. But I want to see how the story carries over tonight. I hope they tell us what happened and why it happened. There better be a good story. And if there's not a good story, then this will probably be the low point of the evening for me. If there's not a good story. But I guess I won't know until after mat's over. So I'm just going to put this as my low point of the evening because unless you tell a good story out of this, I'm so disappointed. So yeah, I'm going to go to Skye first for his thoughts on this match, and then we'll jump over to Alicia.
Agree. This was the low part of the night for me. I went into this match really looking forward to it. I was so happy to have the Fiend back. I was so happy that he was going to be able to get his revenge after Randy Orton lit him on fire. This just seemed like it was just going to be epic, and this has been going on for a while. The Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt / Fiend feud, it's been going on for a while now, and so you were looking at hopefully this was going to be his moment. He's back, he's resurrected, he's looking better than ever. He, like you said, no selling everything. I'm like, the Fiend is going to dominate. This is going to be amazing. Randy's finally going to get what he deserves, and he gets laid out by an AO. Just like, what, why? Like, what? I don't know. I don't have words proper for this specific match because, like I said, it started off with so much promise and then it ended that. And you can tell, like, from the crowd reaction, the way fans were talking about it on Twitter and everywhere on social media, clearly nobody was happy with this. Like, I don't know why they keep on they build the Fiend up to be this supernatural. They do the same thing with Finn Balor and his demon persona, and this dude has not been defeated in his demon, or maybe he has since he's been over at NXT, but I haven't caught up with it and everything. But this dude could not be defeated when Finn Balor was in his demon form, but then you have the Fiend who is seemingly supernatural and powerful and all this stuff, and he just keeps getting defeated like over and over again. It's like, why bring him back the way that they did? They built up this comeback only for him to lose at WrestleMania because Sister Abigail made an appearance. Like, you think that would help him in some way, but instead it was a hindrance, and he the
only thing I can say is that maybe did my camera freeze? I think my camera froze. The only thing I feel like they could say is that maybe he feels guilty for losing Sister Abigail or something to that nature. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to get my camera working again. If not, I will just be a voice, but that's what I have to say about that. Delisha, your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much echoing the same thing. In the moment, I was just very frustrated. Again, like you said, with the Fiend being always built up just to be taken down for whatever reason. Where we started out on such a high with that awesome entrance. And I had text like how like it felt great to hear that music again, his intro song, because I just freaking love it, head banging every time it's on, and like I said, the crowd was really into it. They were, if they could bring out their cell phones and start singing his old music, they would have done that too. Until the air got left out of the room after that, whatever you can't even call that a finish. And I don't know if I was talking to Kyle or someone else, where WrestleMania is supposed to be almost like a closing of a chapter of a bunch of these storylines that we've built up. And this is like we threw away the whole book and we're trying to write a new one. I don't I don't understand. I really thought this would be the culmination of Orton versus Fiend, because I honestly thought it was actually going on too long, to where when if he hadn't appeared at Royal Rumble, I think it was, or Fastlane, whatever the last pay-per-view was, if he hadn't appeared there, I just kind of would have been over it. But now it feels like we have to suffer through this even more, unless he's done with Orton and we're just going to focus on Fiend and Alexa and whatever happened. So like Kyle, I'm just waiting to see what tonight, to see if or whatever the explanation for that ending was, and that will kind of determine on where I am after this match. I can retroactively maybe like this match a little bit more, or just it'll stay as a stain on of this feud for time to come. But I don't know. I'm just really hoping that it somehow makes sense, because last night did not.
Yes.
But I don't know.
What are your thoughts, Skye?
I gave my thoughts.
Oh, did you? Sorry, I'm distracted by the my.
No, I was gonna ask Guy, if is there a way that you would like this? Is there a way in your mind that you could kind of make this make sense of where this might could go either tonight or in the future?
They've buried the Fiend. There's nothing else that they can do with it. Like, honestly, they have systematically buried this dude since the time he has made his appearance. They built him up as being strong, and then ever since he started his feud with Randy Orton, somehow or whatever, Randy Orton is able to get the best or get the one up on the Fiend almost every single time, and it's frustrating because, like you said, this was supposed to be the end of a chapter. This was supposed to be the Fiend's moment to be able to finally shut this book, end it and everything, and say, you know what, enough is enough, Randy, you're done, and then move on to bigger and better things. Now with Sister Abigail by his side, fully awakened and recognized, they would go on to be the dominant, like, I don't know, now intergender tag team, whatever. Like, they could do something with that little gimmick and everything, and I don't know who they would have go up against them, but to having them both and everything, it just seems like, because it would be very dominant if they was able to have both Alexa Bliss as Sister Abigail and the Fiend Bray Wyatt, and putting a championship belt on both of them. I think that it would be amazing. But unfortunately, like I said, when you have the Fiend, going up against Randy Orton and seemingly losing, I don't see how they can come back from this. Like, even if Monday Night Raw decides to explain something, to me, it's the damage is done already. The fans are upset. The fans are disappointed. I don't see the fans just like, oh, well, there's literally no storyline they can give to say, oh, well, this is the reason he lost. He lost, period. Like, he wasn't supposed to lose. He lost to Randy Orton from a simple RKO. Like Cal said, it must have been a RKO times 4, or an RKO combined with a Kaioken. I don't know. Like, it just, he was laid out and then immediately got back up, like, to go and look. I'm like, what? I didn't understand it, and I don't think they can do it any justice on Monday night. I'm pretty sure I'm going to watch it and still be disappointed if they even try to attempt to give any kind of an explanation, because we know how cryptic they can be, and it'll probably just be another Alexa Bliss, Sister Abigail highlight of her saying something or looking at the camera and saying something cryptic, and the Fiend looking guilty because he disappointed her or whatever, and then that'll be the end of it, and nobody will get any explanation. Guaranteed that's probably going to be what happens.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy with it, but we've already like we said, I guess we can just wait till what happens and see how it goes tonight. But like Skye said, the damage has been done. All right, the next match features the women's tag team champions Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending against the winners from night 1, Tamina and Natalya. I think this is Skye's match.
Yep. All right, so Natalya and Tamina got most of the offense for the first few minutes of the match, including a suplex spot to Nia Jax, including executed by both Natalya and Tamina at the same time, which I thought was pretty cool. Nia and Shayna finally turned things around when Jax body slammed Tamina on the floor at ringside, and Baszler hit Natalya with a running knee to the face in the corner of the ring. There was a mistimed near fall after Jax powerbombed Natalya, which I thought was hilarious. Tamina was a split second later to break up the count, but Natalya was smart enough to get her shoulder up. Tamina tagged into the match. Baszler tried to apply the Kirifuda clutch, but Tamina reversed into a Samoan slam or Samoan drop. Jax came down hard on her knee at one point and everything when she was trying to do a flying body press off the top rope and everything, but she kind of shook it off, and her and Tamina got to fighting again. At one point during their fight, Jax taunted Tamina and said, "You ain't sugar honey iced tea." Tamina backhanded Jax and then slammed her into a pin attempt, and then came close to a near fall. Tamina then did a superfly splash off the top, but Jax moved out of the way, which you kind of saw coming like a mile away. But Baszler won the match for her team by forcing Natalya to tap out to the Kirifuda clutch, and they retained their titles.
Yeah, so I didn't want to mention this earlier, but like now we know what the final is. Why would they? It should have been a better match. I guess just for physicality's sake, they wanted to put two bodies in the ring that were could match Shayna and Nia to make it more realistic. But I really think someone like the Riot Squad would have done better here, or even Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. That would have been cool to see. But I guess just why would they put them in not to give them a moment? Didn't even hit the Superfly splash. Delisha, your thoughts?
Unfortunately, because the WWE doesn't care about the tag team scene, or at least the women's part. I didn't care about this match because they gave me no reason to care about this match. While I did appreciate a lot of the work that they were putting in the ring, again, I was just sitting there just not caring because I was like, well, okay, we've seen Nia and Shayna. They actually should be thrown together the way they were at last year. They really work really well together. I do like them for sure. And I do like Natalya and Tamina, but again, they have not been written for me to care about them. So therefore, I didn't really care about them if they would have won or not won in this match. And again, what they're saying on the mic did not match up to what they were putting in the ring. You're saying you don't want to be under the shadows of your fathers and uncles and what have you, but yet you were still continually doing a lot of their movesets. And like I said, with Natalya's music, it's still like a throwback to her father. So I don't understand, unless they meant they just wanted to not be compared to them all the time. But it still just didn't make any sense. So therefore, I didn't care for the match, even though it was fairly good. But I do feel like it would have been a little bit more exciting to have the quickness of the Riot Squad versus the powerhouses of Nia and Shayna, or the funness of Naomi and Lana. Although they did have their time, but all three of these teams, but minus Tamina and Natalya, have had championship matches against Nia and Shayna. So honestly, it just came down to the writing of the tag division as a whole. But I don't know. It happened. It was a match that happened, and it didn't suck. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah. I have to agree with you, Delisha. Like they didn't give them I couldn't care about the match going into it because I didn't. There was no rhyme or reason for Tamina and Natalya to be there. Like if they had worked hard to get there, like they started out that women's tag team battle royale or whatever, if they would have started at the beginning and had to work their way all the way to the end to get that win, I would have felt like, okay, they deserve this, they worked hard. But they were the last ones out there, and got the win because the Riot Squad were pretty much tired. Like, that's the only reason they got it. And then you throw them into this match, and I'm like supposed to care why. Like, I would have rather seen the Riot Squad. They definitively beat two teams and everything, like they definitely put in the work. Would I have liked to see Lana and Naomi? Not really. I like them as a tag team, but I don't think that they have been properly built. Riot Squad has been properly built for a while now. Their in-ring chemistry and everything. They work well together. Like Cal said, with the exception of that live lesbian moment that was happening a while ago. Other than that and everything, the Riot Squad has always been a very dominant force in the women's tag team division. And I think that's why the women's tag team is often looked at as a joke, because you keep on putting people together out of nowhere and then shoving it down the fans' throat. Like, yep, you have to accept them. They're a tag team now. And it's just like, why? Like, what are you doing this for? Who asked for this? And,
and they're breaking up legit tag teams like the Iconics.
Exactly. Iconics was great. I don't know why they broke them up. There was no reason. Only to put Billie Kay in another tag. Like, why? Like, I thought they broke them up so they could shine as individuals, but only for her to immediately go seeking solace within another tag team.
Yep.
I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. They should have kept the Iconics together. They were a great tag team. They were entertaining. They were fun to watch, fun to listen to and everything, but to break them up, and now they have literally nothing that they can do right now within the women's tag team division, other than the most solid tag team that they have, which is the Riot Squad, but you shove them out of the way for Tamina and Natalya? Who asked for that? Like, I didn't ask for that. Nobody asked for that, and here they are, and you're going to have the Riot Squad work very hard during that match, defeating two teams only for them to lose in that way, and then have this match that nobody wanted at all. Like I said, I think majority of the crowd was sleeping the entire match.
Yeah, and just to say that, like I said, I do like Natalya and Tamina. It's just they weren't written for me to care.
I like them.
It's weird because there's only one tag team belts for them to figure out, and maybe they have the means to only ride around maybe like 3 or 4 teams, and they just fail to do so.
All right, we'll move on to our next match. I apologize for the technical difficulties. My camera was having issues before the show, but luckily got it fixed before the show, but then now it went out again, so I don't want to take the time to like unplug stuff behind my computer now, so you'll just have to hear our lovely voices for the rest of the show. The next match featured Kevin Owens against Sami Zayn, and I can't remember who had this.
That was me.
Okay.
All right, Sami and Owens have words before the bell as the referee warns them. Sami charges first, but Owens immediately catches him in a pop-up powerbomb. Sami rolls to the floor. Owens follows and goes for a powerbomb to the edge of the apron, but Sami fights free. Owen follows into the ring and chops Sami around. Owen dominates Sami and clothesline him into the corner as I should mention Paul Logan was at the announcer's table the entire time and was getting booed the entire time, which I thought was probably the best part about this match. It was getting booed. Owen goes to the corner for the cannonball. Owen goes to the top turnbuckle, but Sami crawls to the apron for a breaker or for a breather. Owen charges, but runs into a big foot. Sami goes for a half and half suplex on the apron, but Owens fights him off. Sami ends up dropping Owens on the edge of the apron with a brainbuster. Owen hits the floor and lands hard. Owens makes it back in at the 8 count, but Sami mounts him with strikes. Sami kicks Owens and mounts him from behind with big strikes. Sami looks. Sami was looking on. I think he was asking for Paul Logan's approval the entire time, but every single time he did anything good, he was over there looking at Paul like, "Hey, well, you see what I'm doing and everything." Owens fights back, but Sami nails what is it called? A Michinoku driver, I think that's what it's called. Michinoku, yeah, I think that's what it's called. For a close 2 count. Sami takes Owens to the top for a suplex, but Owens fights back. They trade strikes on the top. Owen headbutts Sami to the mat. Owens follows up with a big frog splash, but Sami kicks out just in time. Sami avoids a pop-up power bomb. Owen ends up hitting a big neck breaker. over his knee, but Sammy kicks out just in time. More back and forth. Sammy with the big exploder suplex into the turnbuckle. Sammy misses the haluva kick in the corner. Sammy blocks a stunner, then hits the Blue Thunder Bomb for a close 2 count. Sammy with another big exploder into the corner and another to the middle of the ring. Sammy drops Owen with another brainbuster for a close 2 count. As Owen barely kicks out, Sammy shows some frustration and everything. At that point in time, he starts unloading on him with different strikes and everything like in the corner. But Owens fights back. Sammy drops Owens in the corner. Sammy takes Owens back to the top, but Owens counters and drives Sammy into the mat from the second turnbuckle with a fisherman suplex. Owen gets up first, clothesline Sammy into the corner, and again, Sammy comes right out of the corner with a haluva kick. Sammy charges for another haluva kick, but Owens meets him with a super kick and another super kick. He hits. I think at that point in time, he starts taunting him. He gets in Sammy's face, and I think he said, "You did this" or something. Then he hits him with a stunner in the middle of the ring and hits the pin for the win. At that point in time, Paul comes in, and I guess he was trying to like show good sportsmanship or whatever by going over to shake KO's hand and everything, and Sammy got up upset and everything, calling him a traitor and everything like that. So he got up in Paul Logan's face and everything. Paul Logan shoves him to the ground and everything. At that point in time, Sammy rolls out of the ring, just says the hell with it, walks off and everything. Paul stays in the ring with KO and was trying to celebrate with him. He raises his arm and victory and everything. Kevin kind of looks at him like he was confused and like, the hell is wrong with you? So he goes up like he's going to shake his hand and hits Paul with a stunner, and everybody in the crowd went wild, including myself. I went wild. It was so great to see him get hit with a stunner.
Yeah, I mean, I these guys put on a classic match. That's expected. These guys have been wrestling each other for like, I don't know, like 10, 15 years now. So this, I was expecting to steal one of the matches of the night. But yeah, I want to see both of these guys being pushed because, I mean, well, Kevin's did have the main event spot for a while, but Sami Zayn's kind of been like flailing around everywhere for a long time. So I kind of want to see him get a little push, but unfortunately now he's probably gonna, I don't know, maybe they'll reconcile and form a tag team or something. I don't know what, but I just really want to see Sami Zayn get his due now too. He's been at it for a while, and he can at least get a mid-card title again or something and thrive there. But these guys are kind of both in limbo because I don't know if they know what to do with these guys, and they're like, oh, we don't know what to do with them, but we can just put them against each other because they always put on like a 5-star match. So it's very hard to say where they're gonna go with these two guys from here. But I did enjoy this match. It was one of my favorite matches of the night for this night. But I don't know, Delisha, your thoughts on these two?
Yeah, I mean, like you guys said, when you put these two together, you're gonna get solid performing out of both of them. It was like, while Sammy has been entertaining with this whole conspiracy theory thing, it's getting to a point where you don't quite know what they're doing with it. I don't understand why Logan Paul was there. He really did nothing. He brought nothing to this feud whatsoever. And who wanted to see him? The crowd definitely did not, because they were, like you said, booing the mess out of him. And I said the only way this match would be great is if he gets between Sammy or KO, whether he get haluva kicked or stunned, and he got a stunner, so that was great. And so that's my biggest takeaway from this match, is that I was glad to see Logan Paul get stunned. But yeah, I don't, like you said, it's like they really don't know what to do with these two. They'll give them a push for a little bit, and then they just reel them back in. So, and then they just default to a Sammy versus Kevin Owens match, which they always put on a good match, but you're like, I want more.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see where these two guys go, because they really deserve to have a better place in the roster, but I don't know. I think we're kind of stuck with them just flailing around in limbo.
Mm-hmm.
The next match featured the United States champion, I believe he is, Matt Riddle, against Sheamus, and I think this is Delicia's match.
I was hoping you would say Cesaro.
No, I thought about it. I
was hoping he was going to say it too.
But here, yes, we have our United States Championship match, which came about. I don't know how to describe it except for Sheamus hates scooters. I don't know. That's how this rivalry got started. He hit Riddle with his scooter, but because of who we have involved in this match, I already knew this is probably going to be really good because we have two good, solid performers. Whether you like their characters or not, they are in the ring solid performers. And we start off with Sheamus getting off to the right start. He is the heel going into this match as he worked Riddle's arm, probably to not help for him to not get the so I guess this work his submission moves that he can get to. That's like the theory behind that strategy. And to resort into like punching him in the stomach and like stomping him like in the head to really try to like knock him out, to really almost if he was like, I'm trying to make this an early night and go home. But Riddle, being the quote unquote stallion that he is, was able to come back and get him with these clubbing forearms and a bunch of like forearm strikes. Why is every time I talk I want to sneeze? And then after a lot of the forearm reversals, doing a belly to belly from the top rope and hitting the Pele. I always feel like I'm pronouncing this wrong. Pele kick into a suplex and then into a senton, trying to go for the pin but doesn't get it, and then he goes for the jackhammer, which everyone always seeing as like a call out to Goldberg, but he's been doing it for years now, so it's really just almost a tribute, not a calling out, so to speak, at this point in time. And to where you think Riddle is almost going to have this one, but nope. Sheamus comes back with the offense with a knee to Riddle, which put him over the rope, and then Alabama Slam to almost get the fall there, but not quite. And then from there, now they're just going back and forth between some of their signature moves, with Riddle hitting a springboard moonsault to the outside, and then trying to slow things down a bit with a armbar, but he was not able to get it fully because, as we saw, Sheamus was working that arm, so he couldn't fully get it engaged. Sheamus was able to counter that with a power bomb, and then we would get where he would go for, I believe it was the white noise off the top of the rope, but he slipped, which was very scary because I was like, oh my gosh, that could have been very messy. But luckily, because Sheamus is a veteran, he's able to like hold on to him, so neither one of them was able to fall. And after hitting a diving knee, Sheamus has almost got the win there, but not quite yet. As Riddle was trying to hit a, I think he was trying to go for a springboard moonsault, but he would get kicked like no one's business from Sheamus into the chest with a bro kick, getting the 1, 2, 3, and we have a new United States champion in Sheamus, and we have a bloodied Riddle on the mat who lost his title after a somewhat lengthy run. He just hasn't had a great, I guess, feud record, so to speak, or at least notable in his couple months as champion. This one probably being one of his title reign, one of the best matches that he's had in the last couple of months, and I really enjoyed it. These were two hard-hitting competitors who also know their way around the ring. Botch aside, glad that they would just be able to keep it safe. And we now have Sheamus as our United States champion. Were you guys happy with the results, and did you like the match?
Yeah, I'll concede to Skye first.
I was both happy with the results, and I loved the match. They were both very strong competitors. I love Sheamus. He's probably one of my most favorite male competitors. So to see him going against Matt Riddle, and Matt Riddle is starting to grow on me. I didn't like him at first. I hate the whole bro, and that annoys me, but I cannot deny that in the ring he is amazing. He definitely holds his own and everything. Going up against somebody like Sheamus and everything is not an easy feat. But they put on a great match. I think when he hit him with that bro kick when he did the backflip of the moonsault off the ropes and everything, I think he hit him in the mouth.
Yeah, his mouth is bleeding.
His mouth was bleeding. I mean they slowed it down a few times. but they didn't have a good angle in which you could see. But I'm pretty sure that that foot connected to the mouth. But I'm hoping that this leads into Matt Riddle being a little bit more serious outside of the ring, because the way he was looking at Sheamus at the end and everything, he definitely looked like furious and everything. Like, you know, he was just utterly disrespected and everything. So maybe this will elicit some kind of I don't think he necessarily needs to turn heel, but I hope that this brings on a new, more fierce side of him outside of the ring, where he's not just going around giving people business ideas and all that stuff, because riding around the scooter, because that was, I don't know, like I said, to me, I don't like that whole gimmick. But like I said, I really do enjoy watching him in the ring. So like I said, I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I feel the same way as Skye. I am not a fan of Matt Riddle's character at all. I think it's so stupid. He even like botched his promo last week with Asuka, I believe it was. But yeah, this match in the ring, like, yeah, he's very good in the ring. He showed some really good moves. And as for the jackhammer, I think it was a call out to Goldberg, because he botched it at first, like purposely, I think, just like how Goldberg's been botching his moves lately. And then he hit it properly. I think that was a call out to Goldberg, honestly. So I think they did it on purpose. And other than that, like, it was a great match, and I love Sheamus, so I'm glad to see he's the United States champion, and I hope he holds it strong. I wouldn't mind seeing, actually, I shouldn't say I wouldn't mind seeing, because I never know what brand people are on, but him and Kevin Owens going at it, and him and Sami Zayn going at it. But again, I think they're in Raw, never mind. The U.S. title's on Raw, I believe. So it doesn't matter. And actually, I don't know, I guess they're on SmackDown? I have no idea. But whatever, that would be cool to watch anyway. But yeah, that was a good match. I enjoyed it. I'm very happy with it.
I really wish, like both of you guys said, they would let him be more serious, because until he got to SmackDown, he was like, he was, while on the outside he was still like the broy, like chill dude, but when he got into the ring, he was I won't say a monster, but he was serious. So I mean, we blame everything on Vince, but really Vince and the writing, they just make him out to be a joke. But I feel like you said, he could still be that jokey character, but you should know that when he gets in the ring, it's lights out.
Yeah, and I feel like we might see a Goldberg Riddle. I don't know, but like more like a grudge match, not like a wrestling match. I don't know, unsanctioned kind of thing. I would be curious to see if Goldberg would put him over, but we'll see. All right. That brings us to our next match of the evening, which is for the Intercontinental Championship, featuring the Intercontinental Champion Big E Langston against Apollo Crews in a Nigerian drum fight. Who's covering this? I guess Alicia?
Yep. Yes, from US to the IC. This was a match a lot of people are actually looking forward to, just to see these two go at it. They've had some really good build-up with Apollo trying to delve into more of his, Nigerian heritage, to bring out that warrior inside him to pretty much put himself over, and Big E being, getting that singles push that we've all loved to see. I will say I did not see SmackDown when this match was announced. I don't know why it was presented as a Nigerian drum fight. It was because it turned out just really to be a street fight. But we started out with a non-Nigerian weapon in the kendo stick. So we start off on the wrong continent, or in the wrong country anyway. But they really pretty much just go ham with the kendo sticks for a good portion of the beginning of this match, with Big E like wearing out really basically to the ribs of Apollo, before they send him into the drums at ringside. And I think that was possibly, spoiler alert, though, I think the one only time the drums got used, like we didn't even hear any drums being used, like beat as they came out to the ring. I mean, come on now, guys. But after getting to the outside of the ring, Crews was able to roll reverse, get the kendo stick, and start beating Big E with the sticks, before Big E speared them through the ropes onto the floor. It still scares me every time he does that, but it's doing good so far. Where Big E then tried to set up some of the ring steps on the to the middle part of the outside ring, not in the corner where they normally are. We still don't know exactly what he was trying to do because he got intercepted by Cruz, who tried to take the other part of the steps to smash on him, courtesy of what he did a few weeks ago when he, threw, quote unquote, the steps onto Big E. I put him out of action for like a week or two. But Big E was able to get out of the way and hit a suplex off the ring apron onto the steps out. The outside steps where they set up. And then once again, we get back to those kendo sticks as Apollo tried to use those on Big E, but he would miss. And then Big E would go through. Sorry, he was trying to hit Big E with the kendo sticks off the top rope, but he missed. And then from that, they went through the ropes onto a table that was conveniently set up outside the ring. And Big E would go ahead for the big ending, which in any other case would be the end of that said match because he usually gets the 3 count with that. But we have interference from some big guy, as they were calling him on the outside of the ring. Because apparently we're all supposed to forget that Raw Underground exists and that we had, I think it was Daba Kato or Kato, who is featured in that segment. We were supposed to forget all that because we're not supposed to know who this guy is, but he's came in kind of in some sort of, I don't know if you would call it military garb or some sort of like formal African-ish type of garb setting to align himself with Apollo Crews, and Crews gets to win, and he is our new Intercontinental Champion. This match did not live up to the expectations that I thought it would for it to be a WrestleMania match. Like, this match could have been the one we got at Fastlane, honestly. And for it to be a Nigerian drum match, we got no drums except for that one section where they got knocked into them. Like, no one was using the drums. We didn't hear a beat of a drum. I'm disappointed. They should have been called a kendo stick match because that's what this match was mainly featured in this match. I do think that Apollo to win was probably the correct choice because now we and of course with the interference of Daba Kato, we still are going to have this feud kind of go on, so we're probably going to see it on the next pay-per-view. However, this sort of wraps up. Hopefully, Apollo gets to keep this title and go forth and prosper with that, and then hopefully now we can get Big E into the main title picture, kind of much like we were hoping with Cesaro too. Maybe we get a mix up with those two together, trying to go for another number 1 contendership. But it is Big E's time. He has put in so much work with this company, and he's such a force on the mic and in the ring that he can carry a title if they put him in that picture. But this match was fine. It didn't live up to his actual namesake, but overall, they got the job done, I guess.
Yeah, I remember when the match started, I texted you right away. I'm like, oh yeah, all those kendo sticks we find in Nigeria. And then the gong, I'm like, yeah, also Nigeria is full of gongs apparently as well too. So yeah, I don't know why they call it Nigerian drum match. It was kind of stupid. I honestly forgot who Daba Kato was. So like when they said big guy, I forgot who he was. And then Raj had looked it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was the guy from Royal Underground. Now I remember. And other than that, yeah, the match it wasn't that great. There were some cool moments like that the suicide dive to the outside, or spear if you want to call it, the spear / suicide dive to the outside. That was fun to watch. The cool thing though is they're starting like a Nigerian faction. It's kind of like the Indian faction that I pitched several years ago. People from India, but like yeah, so apparently Daba Kato also does. I looked him up. Has some Nigerian heritage as well. So that's kind of cool to see that they're using their heritage in a way to form a faction, and I'm all for that. So that's what I think. What about you, Skye?
Yeah, I have to agree with Delisha on this one. I was not a huge fan of this match. It did not seem like a WrestleMania caliber match to me. This could have been a fast lane match, or what. This was just not WrestleMania. I did laugh at the kendo stick. I said the same exact thing when it started. I was like, wait, I thought they said Nigerian match. What is this? So I was very confused. I think they were confused. They really didn't know what it was. I thought they were going to come out to like a bunch of drums and they were just going to be beating the crap out of each other with drums. Like, that's what I thought. But I don't know. Like I said, the match to me wasn't all that entertaining. I already told you, Cal, you and I talked about this separately. I don't like what they did with Apollo Crews. I like the aggressiveness within him and wanting to, get the title and have people take him seriously. But to have him be regular Apollo Crews and to all of a sudden when he's serious, he becomes Nigerian. Like, I mean, I know, like you said, he is technically, from Nigeria in real life or whatever. And, he was hiding it for whatever reason. I still don't understand that to this day. Like, he said that he was hiding it because apparently, I guess he was ashamed or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, WWE has been filled with people from all walks of life from different cultures around the world, and you was too embarrassed to say that you were from Nigeria. Like, I didn't understand that. Like, that was weird. But it is what it is. It happened. Apollo won the title again. Like I said, I wasn't really too happy about that. I wanted Big E to keep on, dominating and holding that title a little bit longer. But Apollo has definitely stepped up his game and been a lot more aggressive in the ring. So it seemed like this was something that was bound to happen. Overall, like I said, I just wasn't really too impressed with the match.
The one good thing about this is that maybe Big E can get a main event push. That's what I'd like to see. But I guess we'll find out and see in a little while. The next match features your Raw Women's Champion Asuka defending her championship against Rhea Ripley, and I believe this is Alicia again. Alicia? Uh-oh. Did she step away?
Sorry, no, I forgot I was on mute. So this was probably like my third anticipated match of the whole Mania weekend because one, I'm a big fan of Rhea Ripley. You can't see it, but I am wearing a Rhea Ripley shirt, and I do like Asuka, even though they've kind of seemed to like drop the ball with her as far as being on Raw as good. Even though she's been the champion since since Money in the Bank, I feel like for the remainder of the year, like she's defeated people. But if you ask me to win money on who she's defeated, I could only just say everyone because I couldn't really name a person. But this one I was really looking forward to because we have a newcomer to the Raw roster in Rhea and Asuka getting basically a fresh opponent because these two have never faced each other at all in a WWE ring. So Asuka right out of the gate hitting the drop kick on Rhea with a flurry of strikes that really didn't quite land. As far as like in the power sphere, like Rhea was just kind of like just eating them. And then she tried to go for a quick roll up to try to win the match quickly. Again, this is like our second time where we had like someone was like, look, I'm trying to get this done as fast as possible so I can get out of here. But it didn't work because Rhea kicked out after just a 1 count. And then Rhea hit Asuka with a chop that sent Asuka into the turnbuckle, but which Asuka would then counter with a kick to the face. And then Ripley would battle through her strikes with some continued knees and kicks to Asuka before, from Asuka until Asuka would try to go for the hip attack. But Rhea was able to step away, and she was like, does her little hanging to the rope type of thing. And then it was Rhea's turn to get her offense on with some like short arm like clotheslines, and then before getting a kick from Asuka, and which she tried to turn into a leg lock, but she was able to muscle all that and go for a German suplex, almost getting the fall right then and there. But no, not yet. I mean, that was only the first 8 minutes of this match. And then Ripley would go ahead and wrestle Asuka to the top of the rope, but Asuka was able to give her a bunch of elbow strikes and get up to do a missile dropkick. And then Asuka would go ahead and do her own German suplex and finally get that hip attack off the ropes, and then go into a flurry of strikes, which she, of course, is known for. And then following up with another hip attack through the ropes, and then Ripley would counter back with a drop kick from the top rope, driving her to the outside, and then driving her from off her shoulders to face front Asuka onto the ring. But then Asuka was able to counter that or get up from that and drive Rhea onto the floor with a sick DDT, which, like, I don't know if she caught herself in time, but she literally landed on her face. I don't know if she got her hand in front of her face in time, but it looked nasty. Not like, oh my gosh, is she hurt type of deal, but like, whoa, that looked great type of nasty. and then she would put her back into the ring to go for the armbar to try to get her to submit, but that would not work, as Rhea, being the powerhouse that she is, would lift Asuka up to slam her onto the floor, and then Ripley would counter the Asuka lock and try to channel that to a pin, but no, she would not get it. And then a few moments later, I kind of missed what kind of happened, but I just blanked, and Rhea got the riptide on her, and she won the match. But it was a really good match. At least two kind of like hard hitting opponents in like different ways, with Rhea being more of the powerhouse with her power bombs and like the riptide, stuff like that, while Asuka was could be a powerful striker with her hard hitting kicks and forearms. But I really do think they delivered on a WrestleMania caliber match, even though this was not the match that was supposed to happen for WrestleMania. But I'm glad, for circumstances that we out of control, that we got this match, and we have Rhea Ripley as our new Raw Women's Champion. And I guess if you kind of go back to the Bianca and Sasha, you kind of get kind of the same deal, to where it's like, oh, we have the rookie coming in and getting put over the person who kind of hasn't really gotten a fair shot when it comes to holding the title. But in this case, whereas with Sasha and Bianca, like, really cases could be made for why Sasha like really should have really won. In this case, I feel like because of the way Asuka has been being written on Raw, and kind of her championship was kind of becoming stale, at least to my standpoint, to where I wasn't getting excited for her opponents in matchups, because I was just like, I really don't care. With this, it's a fresh face onto the Raw scene, a fresh champion onto the Raw scene, and to really mix things up and kind of make it exciting again. And also, maybe I'm biased because I love Rhea Ripley, but I really do think they delivered on their WrestleMania match. Did you guys like this match, and do you think they made the right choice of putting it on Rhea, or am I just wrong and they should have kept it on Asuka?
I'll turn it over to Skye first.
I guess my opinion will be biased because I am a huge Asuka fan. I've been a huge Asuka fan for a while. I've followed her for years. When she finally came to WWE and then made her way up to the main roster, I was so excited, only for them to treat her like garbage. The same thing as I always say about Shinsuke Nakamura. They just take these very talented Japanese individuals and treat them like crap, and I don't understand why. I'm glad that they put the title on her, but she's literally done nothing since she's had the title. She's not gone up against anybody reputable, in my opinion. So the fact that she lost it here at WrestleMania, I don't have a problem with Rhea Ripley at all and everything, but like, Cal was saying, when it came to Bianca Belair getting the title and everything, I felt like it was too soon. She seemingly came out of nowhere, challenged, got the challenge accepted, and won the title. Like, I remember back in the day when you had to earn a title shot and everything, especially one at WrestleMania, but you could just walk into the ring out of nowhere and say, I want a WrestleMania match. And they say, sure. And then you get there and you actually win it. Like, I don't know. It just, to me, everything just seemed rushed. There was no buildup. I didn't care. I couldn't care less. The only reason that I watched the match was because, again, I'm a huge fan of Asuka. I think they probably wanted to get the title on somebody who can actually speak English properly. To me personally, like I said, I speak Japanese, so whenever she's in the ring talking, I'm always laughing because I understand what she's saying. And I have a problem with it, but not everybody can speak Japanese. So to them, she's just in the ring making a bunch of noise, and that can probably be annoying for some people. But I would have loved to see the title stay on Asuka, but unfortunately, like I said, for whatever reason, they want to give it to her. I hope she can do something with it and everything and make it her own or whatever. Overall, I like the match. I think the match was great. I loved a lot of of course, the in-ring wrestling and everything. I really enjoyed it and stuff, but I just felt like she should have dropped that title to somebody who really deserved it and earned to be there, earned to be in that spot, or deserved to be in that spot, I should say.
Do you watch Raw, Skye?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I should clear up just in case people didn't know. It was actually supposed to be Charlotte and Asuka again for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But maybe for those who don't know, it was reported that Charlotte got COVID.
Yeah.
So this is why Rhea got pushed into this
Well,
title.
no. I get. Normally,
No.
they-
I realized you were talking that maybe not everyone maybe knew that as well. I was like, oh crap, maybe I should have said that at first. But yeah, it was really supposed to be Charlotte and Asuka. So I'm kind of glad we didn't get that, to be honest, because that was enough.
Yeah, I was hoping that Asuka was going to hold on to that belt until Becky came back, and then they would be able to get that match and the proper match, so she can get that belt back, because Becky didn't lose and everything. She gave the belt away because she got pregnant, and gave it to Asuka because she deserved it. And and so again, I understood why she was put into the match the way that she was. Again, I have no problem with Rhea Ripley, but again, like I said, normally whenever they do that and everything, I guess sometimes it's like, like for instance, when they had when it came to when it happened to Kofi Kingston, everybody felt like he deserved it. He hadn't, I guess built his way up to that spot to take over for who was it that he was taking over for?
Ali or
Mustafa Ali and everything. But at the same time, like I said, he worked hard in that match, and it was a long time coming. They built up a good reputation with the WWE Universe. Everybody loved Kofi Kingston, especially going against the people that he was going. So when he did end up winning and everything, people absolutely just loved it and everything. So it works sometimes and everything when somebody just seemingly comes out of nowhere to take over somebody's place and they win the title. But this time it just didn't work for me. Like I said, I'm not saying that that's the definitive, like everybody should agree with me, but in my opinion, I just don't feel like Rhea Ripley should have the title right now. Eventually, later on down the line, she's definitely dominant in the ring. I love seeing her perform, but do I feel like she should have taken the title off of Asuka? No. But again, like I said, it doesn't surprise me, because they've been treating Asuka like this for a while, and I've always said the same thing about Shinsuke Nakamura, who they've treated like crap since day one. Like I don't understand why they do that.
All right. Yeah, like I said, there's same reasons. Like I feel like Asuka should get a WrestleMania moment. It's too early for Rhea as well. I'm not as hurt about Rhea winning compared to Bianca, because I'm a bigger Rhea fan. Like I said, Belair's growing on me, but I'm a huge Rhea fan. I do like her, and she also did a great job in the Survivor Series. So that's a place where both Bianca and Rhea were showcased, and I think they did a fantastic job showcasing them during those events. And yeah, I feel like Asuka deserves to win. Like I was saying, Shinsuke. I'm glad he mentioned Shinsuke. So everyone there's like 8 wrestlers who have yet to win at WrestleMania. And only one of the 8 that they have on that list, only one of them actually ended up winning this past WrestleMania, which is Apollo Crews. Go figure. The other people such as Big E, Xavier Woods, Asuka, Sasha Banks, Shinsuke, all of them have never won at WrestleMania. So it's kind of interesting to hear that and see that. And Asuka's only 0-3 now, whereas Sasha's 0-6. That's why I felt more for Sasha, because she's been through 6 WrestleManias, and at least Asuka's got like long reigns. She's been NXT, I think she's the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion. She had long reigns as Raw Champion, I believe. But Sasha's never really had a really good reign. That's why it affects me more than anything. But yeah, I think it's too soon for Rhea as well. But I guess that's what they're trying to push, like a new direction where it's no longer. That's the only thing I can think of is that no longer. But I think Asuka's still part of that new generation. I still feel Sasha can be too as well. So that's why I'm just. I don't know. After seeing happen, Bianca win, I feel like that's why Rhea Ripley. Like I guess I wasn't as struck by it because I saw Bianca win the night prior to it.
Yeah, I wonder if this is the first time we had the last 2 people of the Royal Rumble winning the title in that same year.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and 2 quote unquote, rookies, so to speak.
Yeah.
As well. So
that's a good fact. It might have happened prior to that, when they had the 2 belts before, with the World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to the final match of the evening for the Universal Championship, featuring the Universal Champion Roman Reigns against Daniel Bryan and Edge, the 2021 Men's Royal Rumble winner for the Universal Championship. And it started out, basically, since the triple threat, there's no DQ, no count, nothing like that. So the match starts out with Jey Uso coming around and just doing a bunch of super kicks to Edge and Daniel Bryan. So they basically took advantage of the no disqualification rule. And I think finally Edge was able to stop him by stop Jey Uso by giving him a DDT into the steel steps that knocked him out for most of the match, almost the entirety of the match. Then Edge took Roman to the outside, just kept slamming between the apron and the barricade, apron barricade. I can't remember if he hit a spear early on, but I don't think he did. Then they tried to spear each other several times, but they kept countering it. Both Roman and Edge tried to spear each other. Daniel Bryan's been down for most of the match since getting super kicked, and then I think he might have got speared early on, actually. He might have got speared early on and knocked him out of the match. Reigns and Edge both did countered each other on spears, and then they went for another spear, but they collided with each other, kind of like a freight train, 2 spears hitting each other, and they just collapsed. And that's when Daniel Bryan came back into the ring and started doing like the headbutts from the top, with flying headbutts, which I thought he wouldn't do anymore due to his injury. But hey, keep doing it, Daniel Bryan. Maybe he'll get injured again and leave wrestling for good. So I'm all for that. He did that headbutts from the top. Then he hit a bunch of those yes kicks that he stole from The Miz, which are really called the it kicks. And he did that until Edge was able to, I think, counter it. And I think Edge threw Daniel to the outside where Roman Reigns was waiting, and Roman Reigns powerbombed Daniel Bryan off the top of the stairs through the announcer's table. As he was celebrating, Edge ran around and speared Roman Reigns. They both got back into the back into the ring, and applied a crippler crossface, I guess, to Roman Reigns. Then Roman's one tap, and then Daniel Bryan came in and applied the yes lock to the other side of Roman Reigns, while Edge had a pipe or part of the chair on Roman Reigns' mouth. Roman taps at this point, but no one sees except for myself. I don't know why, but yes, so technically Edge wins that match because, like I said, nobody likes Daniel Bryan, so technically Edge should get the win. So yeah. I do have video evidence of this. I sent it to Delisha. Delisha can confirm that Roman Reigns did tap at this point. Let's move on with the match because that's not fair. I think then Daniel Bryan went for the running knee, but Edge dodged it and then hit a spear. Then Reigns went for a Superman punch. Edge dodged that and speared him as well. Went for the pin, 1-2. Daniel Bryan pulls the referee out of the ring, which sucks because now he screwed him over again. And then Edge got both of them into the ring, took chairs, started to put them underneath each other's their bottom heads to go for a concerto. I think he hits the concerto on Daniel Bryan, which basically knocks him out for the rest of the match. He goes for a concerto on what's his face, Roman Reigns, but Jey Uso makes his way back into the ring. But he gets hit by the chair by Edge. Edge keeps hitting Jey Uso with the chair. This is when Reigns recovers and hits a spear on Edge, then hits a concerto on Edge. Then he pulls Edge on top of Daniel Bryan. 1, 2, 3. Edge is your new champion. Unfortunately, the referee forgot how to count during that point, and then Roman Reigns gets on top of both Edge and Daniel Bryan. This is when the referee apparently remembers how to count, but theoretically, Edge was on top of Daniel Bryan first. Therefore, his pin supersedes Roman Reigns' pin in time sequence. There's no pinning them at the same time, because if one's on top of the other, the person in the middle is pinning the person on the bottom. Therefore, that should have started first. Therefore, Edge is your new champion. Once again, for some reason, they screwed him over. If Roman Reigns was smart and he wants to pin both people, he would have laid them side by side and then sprawled himself over both of them. But no, he was not smart. This could start another controversy, because it should, because Edge is on top of Bryan, which caused the 1, 2, 3. So he should technically be the champion. Not to mention that Roman Reigns has tapped out earlier in the evening as well. But unfortunately, the referee forgot to count, and only knew how to count when Reigns had Edge on top of Bryan and pinned them both, which I don't concede to. So I'm going to say currently the championship is vacated, or it's Edge's. we will go to Delisha first.
Yeah. This match was everything I wanted it to be between these three. If we couldn't get Edge versus Rowan 1-on-1, the fact that Triple Threat just really panned out to being the WrestleMania main event worthy match. Again, the big factor of the crowd really, showcased once again here of why they're so important. Because now was the actual proper time to boo Roman Reigns, and because Reigns is who he is now, he gets to soak it up and actually revel in it and taunt the fans about it instead of having to just like eat it because he's supposedly the babyface. So that was pretty cool to see. Actually, I'm surprised you didn't even mention this, Cal. The fans were actually, well, half of them or a third of them or whatever were actually booing Daniel Bryan because those were the ones who wanted the one-on-one match, I guess. So there were times where he was getting.
That was
booed.
just me the entire time. Sorry, I
I
didn't want to promote myself.
That makes a lot of sense. And then Edge was probably the only one being cheered throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
It did slightly, maybe like moderately surprise me that they kept Roman as the title holder, because I think we might have thought that they might give it to Edge to have it come full circle. But that was not to be. But also you could argue there was interference between Jay from like he always does in Reigns' match. Again, showing that the head of the table can't win a match on his own. So there's still that to play around with. Like I'm not saying that was a bad choice to have him keep the title. It does keep him in this head of the table character, so to speak, still keep him strong. I guess because of what you were saying about the finish, we could go ahead and have this again, like a true, like we can have Edge saying, it's totally been unfair because I never got my one-on-one match that I really should have had, and we can go through this all over again at Backlash. So we'll see. But seeing these three in the ring was a really good sight to see, because you have the two men who were forced to retire due to injuries against their will, and then you had Roman, who had to step away because of leukemia against his will, being able to come back especially within the last year, staying strong and being able to main event the Mania. So it was kind of like these three intertwining similar stories all playing out on the biggest stage of them all, and can't be mad at that.
And you saw that, you did see the video that I sent you, right?
I did see the video. I did. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to respond to you, but about that part. But yeah, I did see. But yeah, but then I did respond because like I said, they were both had him in a submission. So who would have won at that?
I told you, Daniel Bryan. No one likes him, therefore Edge automatically wins. All right, Skye, your thoughts on the main event of WrestleMania?
Daniel Bryan didn't deserve to be there. I hated the fact that he was billed to be in the match. It should have been just a one-on-one. I don't like the fact that they always make Roman Reigns look weak. I love his new persona. I love how dominant he is. He's clearly getting better on the mic. I know he has this slow, methodical approach and everything, but it works for him on the mics and everything, so he shouldn't be trying to be quick with the quips and everything, the comebacks and stuff like that, like John Cena or The Rock can do and everything. He should stick to what he does best, and this is what he's finally found his niche, and I'm very happy about that. I just don't like the fact that they're building him to be weak. He's constantly having to either cheat or rely on outside interference in order to retain his title. He is tapped out like this would be 3 times now and everything. I don't know why they're making this dude to be the quote head of the table and always making him look weak in every regard. I don't understand this. His first couple of matches when he first turned heel and everything, let's had the table thing, he was going up against his cousin Jay, and obviously he was going to win those matches and everything because it was so much bigger than him and he used his size as an advantage, so it kind of made him look strong. But since then, everybody he's gone up against, with the exception of, well, I can't even say exception to that, because I was going to say with the exception of Drew McIntyre, but no, he still had to rely on outside interference in order to be able to get that. So I don't know. Like I said, overall, I think the match was pretty solid. It was standard, what I thought was going to happen between the three of them. I knew there was going to be some controversy. There's always going to be controversy when it comes to one-on-one match and everything, especially if there's if it's no holds barred and falls count anywhere, or no rules, or whatever the case may be, there's always going to be some kind of controversy. If somebody was supposed to be counted out, or somebody was supposed to be pinned, or somebody looked like they tapped out or whatever. So I knew that was going to happen at least once or twice going into it and everything. I really wanted to see Edge win. I felt like he deserved it. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, they want to keep it on Roman Reigns. Again, like I said, I'm a Roman Reigns fan, but I also feel like, I just, I want to see Edge, get what he deserves and everything. But he pulled out the win with the help of Jay and I guess a slow counting, or a ref that didn't know how to count and everything. And that's what happened. Like I said, I truly wish that they would do right by Roman Reigns' character and actually make this dude look strong and not have to rely on others in order to be able to win his matches, because that's just not how you build up somebody who's supposed to be a dominating force within the WWE. I look at people, unfortunately, the Bobby Lashley fight and everything with Drew McIntyre. Although I guess he was distracted by MVP, but again, I don't think that it was supposed to be a distraction, because as Cal said, all he said was Bobby. He didn't say Drew's name. He said Bobby, and he got distracted. So it is what it is. But, Bobby Lashley fights and does his thing. You have a lot of these big dudes that just don't, rely on the outside interference. They just go in there and do the best that they can. And then you have Roman Reigns, who they're building up to be this like dominant force, and almost every single match he's in, he's relying on outside interference in order for him to retain his title. So I feel like it's about time that somebody takes that title off, and I thought it was going to be Edge, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Overall, I thought it was a pretty solid match. I liked it. I'm looking forward to see where this goes. I don't know if he's going to continue because the rumor has it that this is supposed to be Daniel Bryan's last WrestleMania appearance or match or whatever like that. So maybe they just wanted to give him one last send off. They could have, he could have did something else, but whatever. He could have fought somebody else, but it is what it is. So maybe going forward, it's just going to be another Reigns versus Edge in the next pay-per-view. And if that's the case, maybe that's when Edge will pull out the win. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. But I'd rather have remember, it was 10 years exactly to the day when Edge relinquished his championship due to injury. So that would have meant more, kind of thing. So,
right.
But yeah, so let's go on to where we end the evening with the finishers of the night, and we're gonna start with our guest host first and talk about what your low point is, your high point, and your overall grade.
Oh gosh! Wow. Okay.
Of the whole evening, not night 1, night 2, just the whole WrestleMania as a whole, nonstop, 8 hours or whatever it is.
Well, I guess my low point is gonna have to be Fiend and Orton. I just don't like the way they did Fiend. I can get over everything else, I can get past the women's tag team turmoil. I can get past the Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax versus Natalya and Tamina and everything. I can get past all of that, but I can't get past the fact that they pretty much have buried the Fiend. That was the low point for me. It's unfortunate to say that because I was really looking forward to that match, but it is what it is. The high point for me is Sasha and Bianca. Again, like I said, it was probably one of the only matches that I actually got choked up watching in the beginning because of how dynamic and amazing that it was. That was just a extreme high point for me. My overall grade, I would give it a 7 out of 10. It could have been better, but a lot of them suffered from terrible storylines and just having nothing to do with anything. And of course, like I said, the Fiend and Orton thing just really kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
So like a C, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Delisha, yours.
Yeah. I'm pretty much kind of following in the same line as Skye here. My high point, I'm just gonna give it to the women in general. Even though there were some storylines and Bella I didn't like, at least in the ring they all performed to the best of their abilities that they could. Especially being catty corner with Bianca, Sasha, and Asuka and Rhea. Um, and my low point, I think I'm just gonna do with just in general bad writing. Mostly bolstered by night 2 of the Fiends match with the Nigerian drum match, which didn't live up to its actual namesake. And just like the small little details that could have made a show just flow, just did not happen. Especially like I said, as we got to night 2, with honestly night 1 bringing this grade, so to speak, higher, I am gonna give it like a C plus, mainly due to night 1 because that I feel like from start to finish it kind of had a better edge flow and no pun intended with that. And 2 great matches on night 2 does not make up for the the dropping of the ball at the beginning of the show. So yeah, overall, I'm gonna give it a C plus. And if I could do like a high point A, go watch Takeover Stand and Deliver. 2 nights of wrestling still, but at least you get a more solid show between night 1 and 2. Okay, that was my NXT PSA for the day. I'm done.
All right, for me, I'm in the same boat as you guys. I would say the Fiend storyline is probably the low point. I don't like what they did, but like I said, it's kind of up in the air because we'll see what they talk about tonight with it. The high point, I would probably would have had to say Belair and Bianca. Belair and Banks, but I fell asleep during the match, so I can't say it was the high point. Therefore, I want to go with something else, and I'll probably say the Miz winning outstandingly in his match, or Edge winning is probably the high point for me, and I'm going to give it a C grade overall as well because it wasn't very. It was like I said, one of the worst WrestleManias I've seen writing wise. Action wise, yes, it's great, but writing wise, I think it was one of the worst I've ever seen. So with that, all right. With that said, let me go ahead and turn it over to Skye. Skye, where can we find you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Moon91111. You can find me on Instagram at SkyRed1757. You can also find me on YouTube at Skye Inc.
And Delisha, what about you? You have anything upcoming? Well, I know you have a weekend video, but where can we find you and what do you got on plate?
Yeah,
No
you
pun
can find me
intended.
on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at Delisha Renee TV, where I do health and wellness vlog and recipes every week. I kind of got away from the vlogging because of I wasn't doing anything but sitting at my desk. So unless you wanted to watch me work or play The Sims, I wasn't really doing much with that. But I got to do a quick little slice of life last weekend. I mean, to show. So that's up on the channel now. And if I somehow am able to go out, I'll be doing more vlogging. But yeah, you can check me out doing health and wellness vlogs here on YouTube.
All right. And as for me, before we get to me, let's not forget to remember Cusco. They will be doing a charity stream. The Game Fiction will be doing a charity stream on Thursday, April 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Let me go ahead and thank Megan for being in the chat and dropping the links for the donation stream and putting the links all together. And thank you to, let's see, it was a Sidewalk Closed, Randall Sans, and Gary Waller for donating. Thank you guys for helping out. And if you couldn't give today, and if you would like to give when you have, maybe got some money from this week, remember the charity stream will be on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on the Game Fixers YouTube, and I will be there supporting that as well. But yeah, remember, like I said, Cusco is very, very important to this community. So I hope you guys, if you can go back and maybe check out some of his videos, or just to remember the good times, right? And you can check out any of our old videos as well. You'll see him as one-legged Cusco in the chat. A lot of my old thumbnails, are his that he created because he was very fond of photography and photoshopping and stuff like that. So a lot of my old thumbnails are thanks to him. Actually, I think some of my first ever ones are all his as well too. So like I said, he's very, very important to us. So I want to thank him for everything he's done for the. Yep.
Is Megan still in the chat?
Yeah.
Question for her and for you, I guess, as well. I know the stream is on Thursday. If people cannot, just in case people don't have the funds available by Thursday, are people still able to donate after Thursday, or will it close out on Thursday?
I'm not sure. You'd have to contact Megan directly for that because she's the one collecting the money for it. So
Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, he's been very important to our community. So I want to thank him. And I want to remember him. So make sure you guys always keep in your hearts, keep him in your minds, and thank you to Cusco. As for me, like I said, I'm still looking for a game to stream. So unfortunately, there's no game. It might just end up being Horizon Forbidden West when that comes out. But until now, it's something I want to stream. But the next time you'll see us is at the season-ending special AfterMat Awards Season 4, which will take place 2 weeks from today on April 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern with the same. We removed some categories. But we are keeping consistent with the rest of the categories, so make sure you guys check us out then. We will have Skye back then for that as well as maybe some surprises throughout the evening. But I want to thank Skye once again. You did a fantastic job today. Thank you for joining us for this. And, don't forget that keep slamming the haters and become the champion of dreams. And we'll see you guys next time. See you later.
Bye.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on